think everything is there, Rohan. And oh wait, 1 second. Yes, Rohan is here. I am here. Chat, can you guys Can you guys hear us? Sorry, it has to be mandatory tech check always at the start of the stream. Otherwise, it's not a perfect Binge-O-Clock stream. League, can you guys see us? Can you guys hear us? If everything is good, all good.
S to the OG. How's it going?
Good to R to the OG, then you become like a gaming computer.
R to the OG. Prem Rogue.
Yeah, I was just going to call you Rojan Roy.
Rojan Roy. Oh my God. Rojan Roy. Oh no.
Or Gojo Mojo. I mean, it's all there. All these moments.
Oh, Gojo Mojo. I like
there.
Gojo Mojo. I like
is
Gojo Mojo. That's
great.
funny. Gojo Mojo's funny. I like Gojo Money.
That's a great name, right? Guys, we're
Mojo.
not going to waste too much time. Just a few quick announcements before we start and call on the guests for today. Please press the like button and keep spamming the chat. The more you spam the chat, the more likes you press. YouTube suggests this team to people and people are like, oh my God, cool people are online. This is what we have to see. So do that, number one. Number two, please don't spam. Thank you, Sai Ashish. I remember you, but please don't spam. And last but not the least, like Toko, subscribe karo, and we are ready. Are you guys ready for the Succession stream? The gang is back. The last time's gang. Plus, we've got a brand new person joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, everybody from the league, wherever you are, can we please have a huge round of applause? Give it up for Nikhil Taneja, Sucharita Tyagi, and Weber Munjal. I don't know why I went with that high-pitched scream for Weber, but it's the first time he's on this channel.
No, I also came for the Severance one.
Oh yeah, Weber.
Sahil wasn't here for that stream. That was his AD.
I'm very upset for my Succession stream. Nikhil has decided to join me from a mall, and 5 minutes later he joins me from his salon. 5 minutes later he cuts out and joins me from the fucking road. I can't hear anything he has said on that stream. And for Sahil's stream, he's like set up lighting and everything. So
I am in a hotel in Siliguri. And I'm still making sure that for the same and for you also again, I had the event the next morning, our Succession event, and I made sure I was there.
I've known you since you were studying engineering. For shame.
I just want to say, no matter where I am in the world, if there's a Succession stream, I'm going to be on it.
Very nice.
For your stream, he was like Kendra Roy trying to get to a board meeting.
Yeah.
100 places at once, but just not able to just be there in time.
Anywhere there was internet, anywhere.
Like I told Rohan, I'm like, hey man, this is the stream is happening. Are you good to go? And he's like, yeah, I'm good to go. Just ask. Let's ask everyone. So we asked. I said, I think Sujaita will ask, Weber will ask, Nikhil. He's like, Nikhil maybe in Bengal. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let me just see. I messaged Nikhil. I'm like, do you want to talk Succession? Literally seconds. Yes.
You didn't even say Succession. You said you want to do a live stream. I said, if it's
yes.
Succession, then I'm on, no matter where I am.
1 second, I'm getting some. Just 1 second. Hold on. I'm just joining. Y'all can talk 1 second.
Oh wow, he just left. How's it going, guys? So okay, chat. First, start with. Let's just go. Did you like the last season of Succession? And I'm gonna actually throw this out to everybody here. One, did you, before we get to the finale, did you like the last season of Succession? And where would you overall place it among all of the seasons of Succession? And
I wasn't into the show until the last 3 episodes. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't working for me initially. I felt like the initial conflict of being outsiders, watching rich people really crash and burn. That was the whole appeal of the show for the first 3 seasons. Every episode, that was the central conflict, watching rich people crash and burn. I felt like that wasn't coming through in this season so much, because suddenly everybody was very united, even though they were still trying to backstab each other, but they weren't crashing and burning how Roman used to when he's sending a rocket ship that's bursting in the sky. And remember that. But then episode 8 rolled around and like everything shifted for me. 8, 9 and 10 were just some of the best storytelling I've seen in a long time. Not just television, not just film, not just anything else, just like good storytelling. So yeah, it worked for me in the last 3 episodes so well.
I agree. I got bored halfway through. I'm like, okay, so they're trying to do the deal, then they're backstabbing, then they're trying to do the deal, then someone else is backstabbing, then and I couldn't keep track of what was happening. Like my brain literally lost count of. I'm like, who's doing what? And see, but press. And I was like, this show, what is happening? But the last episode, like literally, like there are very few shows whose last episode is just so good that it's stuck with you, right? So like my phone ringtone right now is the Succession theme song. It's been like that since the show first came out, and every time I hear it, I'm just thinking about, man, that feeling of watching that last episode and going, oh, that's a good finale. That's a good show.
I'll just say both of you are traitors. Every episode was incredible. I don't know what you're doing on this stream. We should disqualify yourself.
I mean, we can discount everything Sahil says because he just admitted to having a ringtone in 2020. Right? His phone is not on silent. He is, with
It's on
respect, Sahil
principle.
Shah, you are not a serious person.
I don't know what you haven't liked in the first few. I mean, like the third episode, I think is one
Because
of the
it's because we don't have a parasocial relationship with these actors playing characters, Nikhil. It's a problem that you have.
That is actually, that may be very fair, but I just want to say that the third episode is one of the best episodes I think ever on, not forget a television show, forget a movie, just on the subject of grief.
Yeah.
Like, you know, to show, and it came out of the blue, like, oh my god, congratulations for keeping this under the wraps, you know, like literally Marvel was not able to keep 3 Spider-Men together under wraps, and Succession managed to keep, spoiler alert, Logan Roy's death under wraps. And the way it happened, the way it unfolded, the masterclass of acting, the masterclass of direction. I mean, I don't know if I don't remember if there's any other Succession episode I've cried in. I was bawling, man. I was like, and I hate these people. Every one of them sucks. And I was crying, and I was like, man, what? I don't know. I mean, I just feel like, you know, except for the first 3-4 episodes of the series, the first 3-4 where you just kind of take time to get in. I think once that mad dash happens where Kendall's trying to get to that first Succession board meeting, after the takeover board meeting, I think after that it's just been like one hit after the other. You know, the greatest of all hits, almost like.
I think you mean all bangers all the time.
Yeah, all bangers all the time.
All bangers all the time, sir. All bangers all the time.
I would say though in the end that I still think that the third episode, the third season is possibly the best season for me, and not because of any other reason, but because I felt like that was the season that kind of leaned into the empathy a little bit more of all of these characters, and when they come together, like that last shot, which just kind of seemed like a painting of these 3, you know, siblings.
Nothing come close to that.
Yeah,
this season.
I think that was just the high point of the series for me, and I'm just sad that the 4th season is where it ended, and I'm really just sad for Kendall. Like, even though he really should not have been CEO, but like I feel bad for him. So not the.
Vaibhav, you share your thoughts?
So मैं बहुत बड़ा, I'll show you guys something. So I have this Kendall Roy like frame. And I'll tell you the story. When it came, ये frame गिर गई थी and it broke. मैंने इसको फेविक्विक से चिपकाया and the metaphor of broke.
Really accurate Ken merchandise. Really accurate Ken merchandise.
तू एक आधा तो तू चलाता है ना Twitter पे Kendall Roy fake account. One of them is at least for sure, no?
So big Kendall Roy fan. Like मैंने जैसे Succession खत्म हुआ था, I made a video on चलचित्र saying like him winning was important for my character arc, but like he lost. Like मेरे को ये था कि he needs to win now, नहीं तो मैं क्या करूँगा life में. But like I still like the ending very much, and like Nikhil said, the episode 3, Connor's wedding was the strongest episode of the season for me, and closely followed by the last episode. But yes, we should also talk about like the episode where Logan dies, because I loved how they killed him off. मेरे को लगा था कि Kendall मारेगा, कैसे मरेगा, और like they just like he just died.
You thought he'll kill him.
अब्बास बस्तानी बनेगा.
Yeah. There was this one like ऐसे रोते रोते मार देगा, like he'll do something like that. Like he's crying and he's like, I'm sorry, Dad.
It's the wrong show, Vaibhav. Wrong show for stuff like this, you know.
But like
Not directed by Raj and DK, you know.
Game of Succession.
But like I would really recommend people to watch these outtakes the creators have, like all these videos which come on HBO and HBO Max after the episode ends. You get to know so much about the show when you see Jesse Armstrong talk about it, Jeremy Strong talk about it, and particularly episodes 3 जो Connor's wedding वाला episode है, उसमें when you will see these people talk about that thing कि why they killed Logan like that. They had always planned that it had to be like डिजिटल एज में जब कोई कैसे मरता है, लाइक आपको मोबाइल पे पता चलता है लाइक दैट पर्सन हैज जस्ट डाइड, and how you deal with the grief when you are far away and when you are not with that person. So they pulled that off very well when you never got to meet that person and that person just disappeared. So I really liked how they
There's
did
a
that.
there's also a podcast
There's a
that they do
podcast,
after
yeah.
every episode on the HBO
Hmm.
channel. There was also a clip I was watching. I think it was one of those random variety interviews or some interviews where Jesse Armstrong is breaking down that episode, and I watched one clip where he's talking about Sarah Snook in that episode specifically, where when she first kind of regresses back towards being a little girl when she finds out her dad's passed, and she takes the phone from one of her brothers and she goes into a corner to say like her final, and Jesse Armstrong is breaking down. He's like, you look at her back and you can see her acting from behind her. She
Nice.
walks, then she trots, then she almost stumbles, and then she kind of goes down on her knees and she starts saying, "Daddy, don't die."
Yeah.
And it's like a 15-second bit, and in that, just like Sarah Snook blew me away in that episode for
Yeah.
sure. That's a great episode. And it was an anomaly for me in the beginning because I wasn't really connecting with the show except that episode, except those scenes on the yacht. And when you also get to know Connor a little bit, right? Connor's arc this season, you've gotten to know
Yeah.
him, you've gotten to empathize with him, you've gotten to like not just see him as a ridiculous person who buys love, buys his own inheritance from his father, buys a random ranch in the middle of the desert. This time you've gotten to know him as a person and what he had to go through as a child to be the firstborn, to be the oldest boy, actually, the eldest boy.
Yeah, I felt like it was such a Rohan. I'm gonna ask you. You have to tell us your this thing. I'll just tell you this one moment where I really like the. I don't know. There are like again. I do is a fuck. My brain froze. But I'm saying
Jesus.
with my brother, right? I've
Become
got
crazy.
these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't get
No.
nuts.
No. I went full. Shiv. Can we just talk, Shiv? Shiv, can you just talk? But I'm saying, like, with my brother, we have these, siblings share this small little bond, right? The small little moment where everything else can just shatter and you're just brothers and sisters for that 1 second, right? So when there's that funeral, when they see the, what is it called? The monument for Logan's, this thing? His script, and he's just chuckling and they are laughing and cracking jokes, and it felt really like siblingy over there, and I felt like finally in death he could be part of the family as a sweet, like, what I mean to say.
Kendall asks how much he got it for, and someone says 5 million, and he says good deal, and Shiv says
Yeah.
So funny. $5 million, so funny.
Rohan, go for it.
What? Oh.
You are
What? Go for. I was like, go for what?
Go for buying a crypt.
Go for it. Go for it. Okay. So, So I loved it just because I'm so glad none of them won. All right. Like I'm really sorry, Vaibhav, that it was important to you that Kendall
Tom won.
I mean, no. I'm talking about the Sims. I'm talking about the Sims. All right. I'm talking about the Sims. I'm so glad none of them won. I'm glad it was the Tom and Greg show because this show sort of, for me, it's always been two things. One is it's a sort of interrogation of what wealth does to humanity, but taken to like XXX, right? Like for me, that season, like for me, what summed the series up is that conversation just at the start of the finale between Shiv and her mom, where her mom is just like, I don't like eyes.
Yeah.
And Siobhan is like, you mean human eyes? Like the ones that, that we all have, the windows to the soul. The idea that these people essentially, in a way, that their wealth has made them so far away from human that even the simple basic concept of eyes is almost alien to them, right? And to me, that's so telling about like Caroline's entire arc. I think this show has been about a bunch of people who, because two stories have been playing out simultaneously, right? One is now we know the story of the delusions of three children. Who really, I think there was a line, I think in season 1, or was it 2, where Marsha has this great line, where I think she says he built you a playground and you thought it was the world. Or something like that. And I think that really sums up, because all three of them really thought they were serious people, right? Up until that moment. And on the other side is this other sort of story of Tom and Greg, who, as horrible as some of their sort of, and Machiavellian as some of their things are people who have been put in that position because that is the only way up the ladder available to them. And at every turn, if you had to pull back and see it, they're the ones that do the work. You say what you will. Tom is the one who's willing to eat the L and go to jail. Everybody else is at Logan's funeral. Tom stays at fucking work. On election night, while these three are having their private battles, Tom is the only one coming to the conference room and being like, guys, I need a fucking answer. I have a network to run. All right. Like, that entire sort of conversation between him and Siobhan, that sort of acceptance of this thing, that great line again early on in the series finale, where he's like, you don't like to fail a test, do you, Siobhan?
Yeah.
And just sort of that entire, and just these two stories coming to a head. And the biggest compliment for me in this show, as somebody who now, and I think all of us here can attest, is we all watch so much pop culture that even in a lot of well-written shows, we can telegraph certain things. Like lines that, say, a casual audience wouldn't catch now, because we watch so much, we're like, oh, you know, this is going to be this. The biggest compliment I can pay is that after 4 seasons of watching podcasts, deliberating on Reddit, doing all of those things, having arcs, supporting this, that, until the last 10 minutes of the show, I had no idea which way it was going to be. Who the sort of successor was going to be. And after 4 seasons, and again, like somebody in the chat, shout out here to just some of the work that people like Mark Mylord, Jesse Armstrong, Nicholas Britell have done, right? Like, I think in that Jesse Armstrong, in one of the conversations, he was talking about how in the Connor's wedding episode, when Kendall comes out to look for Siobhan, in like to tell her basically that this has happened, when she's outside working the room. When they were shooting that, he didn't tell Jeremy Strong physically where
she was.
So when he walked into the room, like as he's following, Ken genuinely doesn't know where sort of Sarah Snook is. So that disorientation is very sort of
that's very cool.
real also, right? And and then like Nicholas Britell just straight up, I think, dropping the greatest classical music album of the 21st century, very casually over 4 seasons, spooning it out. And just very, very thrilled and glad that there is one show that you can you could use this show end to end to teach a film course. You know what I'm saying?
You know, it has ruined regular, like everything else for me. Because once I watched the finale,
completely.
I have to write reviews every week, right?
And how?
So
How do you?
That's now the finale is the
How
benchmark,
do you?
right?
How
the finale
do you?
is my benchmark. So like, I am watching Scoop, which is supposed to be great, and I'm watching it and I'm like, it's not feeling it, y'all. I'm just not feeling it. Like, this acting is not good enough. This camera work is not good enough. The edit is not good enough.
It's not all bangers all the time.
It's not all bangers all the time.
There's the Dawn screaming, fuck off, you know, like, where is that? Where is that?
Where is...
Sir, mujhe scoop mila hai. Dawn is like, fuck off. And you're like, yeah, this is what I signed up for. This
you know, and jokes aside, like, if I stop being facetious also for a second, everything now compares to the finale 10 minutes of that series of season 4. If it's not that level of acting, camera work, handheld fucking camera work, if it's not that level of acting, camera work, edit, storytelling, dialogue delivery, I watched those 10 minutes over and over, I think about 50 times. If it's not that, it's just not good enough for me anymore. And then that, you know, and I just finished like the Cannes Film Festival. I watched movies there, like 20 films there. Then I finished Succession. And then I'm like, is anything ever going to match up to this experience? It's something else altogether. That scene in the boardroom in the end when Shiv deflects and she goes and then they have a physical fight, the three of them.
So good.
Those, like, it's like I think a 50-second clip of it or a 1-minute clip of it, I've played it on loop, analyzing every twitch of every eyebrow, every kind of shrug from Siobhan, every eye roll from Kieran Culkin. Oh fuck, it's a masterclass. And
also, what's amazing is that every single one of them in that sort of, when they step out of that boardroom and go into that private room, for all we've seen, they all so quickly revert to type, right? To their worst self, all of them. And do their very
Kendall
specific...
stammering.
Kendall starts stammering and then immediately starts saying whatever needs to be said to get the job done. I didn't kill that guy. I did, like the worst thing. The worst thing. Like the most sociopathic thing you can say.
They're showing to why none of them deserve to win.
Siobhan is literally just like, why not my toy? Like, that's the whole thing. So, and Roman's entire thing is just like, guys,
we are bullshit. You're bullshit.
We are bullshit. I don't fundamentally believe. Like, ye khokla hai ye sab, right? Like, and that was just brilliant, that entire. And also, I've seen entire sort of horror films and psychological thrillers that have not distressed me as much as that one scene of Kendall just pushing
Yeah.
Roman against
Fuck.
his shoulder
Oh.
to open the wound and
Yeah.
essentially
yeah.
stepping more into the dark side of becoming Logan and realizing that pain is sort of Roman's
And
only
the-
love and
His
control
thing.
language.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm
And
like,
the
what is
way-
happening?
And the way that they framed it and the way you feel about it, first you're just like, okay, wow, he's being a brother. Look at him just giving a hug.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you're like, wait, what is
I
No,
happening?
no.
Wait. And then
No, no,
first you're
no,
like,
no.
is he being evil? Is he being cruel? And then something you're like, but wait, Roman has a humiliation kink.
He's
Is he
being
actually
charitable.
being, is he actually
Yeah.
being a good brother again in giving him that humiliation that he wants so that he feels okay? It is, I mean, I'd written all, I think it's such a humbling thing, I think, to watch this. And I can't keep, someone who kind of actually makes things, it's insane. I can't like if you're trying to make anything, you're making like a 3-minute
Agreed.
video in India.
Yeah.
The number of fuck-ups that go through,
Yeah, yeah.
what you know particularly, I mean, but every one of us who's tried to make anything, forget a reel,
Yeah.
the amount of effort that it takes.
Yeah.
And to see the synergy of like God knows hundreds of people have come together to make this. I was just hearing the podcast about the episode where the election results are there.
Yeah.
I mean, they shot 2 episodes there. There's a whole episode that is being shown to us, and there's an episode that's been
That's
shot in the
outside
backdrop.
also.
Yeah, that's in the backdrop of like the election coverage that is being shot. Live updates happening. There are actual news, opinion commentators who have gone on that show and are giving the commentary about what's happening in the real world election.
Yeah.
It's insane. The level of skill of the number of people who need to come together, be at their very best in life, and be like, okay, you know what? We are going to create art today,
Yeah.
day in and day out. It is, I mean, I just like literally when you watch a show like this, you realize why you care about this, why it just kind of makes you go back to revert back to your child, right? In some way, that
Yeah.
this is why I started watching movies and TV shows. The feeling that you get when you see something as masterful as this. So I mean, I've really just been humbled by the overwhelmed by how brilliant.
Humbling is
Like-
the right word. It's very humbling.
Oh, 100%. Like, Sucharita, you're talking about that 1-minute scene that you
Yeah.
keep watching.
Yeah.
I keep going back to that kitchen scene.
Yeah.
And every time, like, I pull out,
Oh.
I was essentially sitting there and I had this sort of realization of 1 second. All they have is the ends of bread
Yeah.
and hard cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Master Chiefs are not allowed to touch. They have nothing. Okay, there's no food in the house. They're in the dirtiest clothes. They're this thing and that. For one horrible moment, and even the mother comes in and they actually have like this kitchen table moment. And for
Bonding
one horrible moment, the show dares to suggest that, you know what? If money hadn't been a part of this picture, like even with just the ends of bread and cheese,
Yeah.
They were happy.
these guys could have been happy.
And-
These guys could have been happy.
And do you
Like,
guys know
literally.
in regard to the schedule, that was the last scene
Last
they
thing they
shot.
shot. That was the
Yeah.
last
And then they
thing
shaved
shot,
Jeremy
right?
Strong's head.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
Those
need to
clips.
pause over here. First things first, and very importantly, can I please find out what is the name of this podcast everyone is referring to? Because I have clearly been in the dark.
It's
and now
Succession podcast.
Succession
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 podcast
podcast.
on the
Podcast.
HBO channel.
Kera Swisher.
Kara Swisher?
Yeah. I think
That's
so.
on the
Spotify.
HBO YouTube
It's
main channel.
incredible. Yeah.
It's
an
all
official
audio.
podcast.
It's not a video podcast. It's
Yeah.
audio. They
Audio
use
podcast.
B-rolls.
But
from the
so all the
But you'll find it on YouTube. Yeah.
so all these like this extra show info, because I read, right? So I keep reading articles about what happened
Oh,
and all of that. So I
you're
don't,
You
Brian
read,
Cox.
we watch YouTube, you read. I read.
I'm a reader, guys. I'm so sorry.
Is there a
I'm
book on
listener,
Succession I
like
can
you
read?
lesser mortals?
Fuck off.
Yeah, you illiterate fucks.
Alright, let's just pause. Let's just
Oh,
pause.
I read.
This was a Succession discussion, not a me discussion. But okay, since we are talking about reading, this is such a subtle segue. Give me 2 minutes. I'm going to quickly read out the super chats. Shubhasmit Gupta has said for Vaibhav Shagun ke paise. Vaibhav, congratulations, you've got. I'll
Arre.
give it to you. Apurva Vashne said exactly, how can I hate and love the characters so much at the same time? Yes, that is something that we will be talking about. And Kushagra and Abhishek the Phoenix, thank you so much for your super chats. That's it. Sorry, I had to get that out. Now, I'm done reading. Now I'll go back to the videos, Sucharita.
Okay, come back. Welcome back. Please go to the HBO channel and listen to this conversation.
Yeah.
And they have like, Madsen and like all the characters. They break down the characters with the actors
Yeah.
at the end of the
Depth
episode. That's
conversations.
fucking amazing.
Like Brian Cox is on it, like all the actors,
there.
all the EPs, all kinds of incredible people who
And-
are kind of giving you more insight
cool.
into what goes behind the scenes. And again, by the way, like just to talk to the point that Rohan made, I think the moment I saw that scene, I knew that we didn't have a happy ending. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
kind
Oh,
of
of course.
already knew that there wouldn't be a
100%.
happy ending.
100%.
Of course,
And
of course.
there was a TikTok that kind of spoiled it because
Yeah.
there's a TikTok on that went viral on Twitter as a video that spoke about how the last name of Tom Wormsgans is actually inspired by a baseball player who demolishes apparently three.
Who's
does
the
a
only one who's
three-strike
ever
thing.
done it?
Yeah, who's the only one who's ever had like a 3-strike and something. I don't understand baseball, but it kind of said that Tom is probably the one who's going to win. But the
And
moment you had that scene-
Shiv, literally, like it's a knife that you fashion,
Yeah,
and
Shiv
her,
is the
so
knife,
she's
yeah.
like she's gonna knife them.
how all the
Wow.
memes have been thought through.
But that's been like since day one, since the
Yeah.
first episode. Like her name is Shiv, and
Shiv,
Shiv
yeah,
is
Shiv the
also like
Shiv.
a bird.
That I agree. That I agree
Shiv the
with.
Shiv.
I for me, just seeing Tom was like, I mean, sorry to clash it with another HBO show, but it was a very Bran Stark moment. Okay, I'm coming with sure like, but except this time I rooted for Bran Stark.
Yeah.
This time I'm like, he got the throne. He is there. He can walk.
No,
I've got
but
this guy.
who has a better story than Tom the Broken?
Yeah.
Because that was another shot that made me really uncomfortable. That shot of their car just pulling away and the two of them sitting in that
And like,
back seat.
Ooh,
And that
power.
just when she's like, congratulations, and he's
Yeah,
like,
man.
oh no.
No.
And then he puts his hand out and she like gingerly takes it and it's
Yeah.
like, oh my god, it's like,
So
It had
much
a very
power.
graduate kind of an
yeah,
ending.
it
Like
was
it was.
very like,
and they
well, what
wasn't
now?
even like they don't
They don't even clutch hands.
Yeah,
it's
they
the
don't-
mask
Yeah,
of
yeah.
No, there's just
It's
like
just
a
like
touch,
it's
like
placed
a
on his-
basic touch is there.
like you would place it on the hand of a king, right? Like
Yeah,
it's like there's no affection. It's just you're my
Yeah,
little bitch
it was
now.
the bend the knee moment. Like yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I
The roles
couldn't
are
stop
reversed.
thinking, like when you see scenes like this, I kind of think like if a scene like this was in any other show, you'd just be like, "Kya tatti show hai?" Like literally, like the moment you have somebody putting not their whole, little
Yeah.
scene,
Yeah.
when you take a screenshot of that
Yeah.
scene and you have
Yeah.
someone,
It can look
not
very
full hand-
caricaturish. Yeah.
Yeah, you just like, yeah, this is buffoonery. This is not a real show. This is not a
Buffoonery.
serious show. But yeah, it's still like this. Every single small detail.
But
is
that's because this show over 4 seasons has trained us to tell us that even if a scene is 15 seconds long, those
Yeah.
15 seconds will be so densely packed with just content in terms of
Yeah.
just 100 million power dynamics and subtext sort of every pause. Like, dude, there's an entire separate acting class in just Sarah Snook's eye rolls. Okay, across
my
Yeah.
God.
across the 4 seasons, just Sarah Snook's eye rolls of different hue and variety, just whole different thing.
Dude,
like
we had
Matthew
discussed this
McFadden
last
did
time
a
also. No, sorry, just when we had discussed Kieran Culkin's just the slink into chair, we had
Yeah.
discussed this, that it's just the tiniest of non-verbal moments that sell this show more than anything else. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah.
like again Matthew McFadden on one of these late night shows, he
I
was
love
talking
him.
about how he does the voice modulation for different things. So he's like, if you
Yeah,
notice,
Yeah.
every time I talk to Greg,
Greg.
he's like, it's Greg. And very this thing, but every time he starts with Siobhan, he's already at a slightly high pitch,
Yeah.
sort of whiny, because he's
I've
like essentially
been
the
watching their interviews obsessively. Now
Yeah.
that the
Yeah.
show is over. Now I'm ready to like dissociate them from their characters and
yeah.
get to know them as actors and performers. And like someone like Sarah Snook and Matthew McFadden, like sure, Sarah Snook, I had no idea who she was, and Kieran Culkin, I had never seen anything he'd done before. And Matthew McFadden, sure, you've seen clips from Pride and Prejudice floating around for a long, long time. But like to get to know them as people has been fascinating. Yeah, and then the fact that Nicholas Hoult and Matthew McFadden actually have a friendly relationship, which is like they're like besties off camera. There's a very funny viral TikTok where they're doing the red carpet. for
Nicholas
one of the
Braun,
scenes.
Nicholas Braun, not Nicholas Hoult.
Braun.
I kept
Yeah.
quiet. She was in a flow. I didn't want to.
Yeah,
Braun,
no,
Braun.
because I also imagine Nicholas Hoult now, like that could be
Yeah.
cool also.
And I'm like, maybe it's an
That could be
alternate
cool.
universe. It's
Yeah.
any Greg is possible.
They are
like the
on
funny
a red
thing-
carpet and everyone shows up with their romantic partners and it's like Nicholas and Matthew standing in the end together. It's very
Aw.
By the
I
way,
mean,
like
to
the
be fair, that
small-
was the defining romance of the show. All right, let's be real.
For sure.
That was the defining love story of the show was Tom and Greg. Everything
But-
else was nonsense.
And it puts a
Like for me,
sticker
the
everywhere.
little things about the fact that now Tom is going to be number one, And then he has Jerry as probably his number 2.
Tom
then
and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
Tom and Jerry.
Shut up.
Like, just
shut.
Tom
oh
and
my
Jerry, dude.
God.
He just says,
Tom
I'm not
and
gonna let
Jerry.
her go.
Is this
He's
the first
probably
time you
gonna let-
heard this? Are you really like
Yeah.
Look,
bringing out?
can I just be honest, guys? I am Succession finale. Oh my God! Then below rock, now my mind is going down rabbit holes where
Tom
you're like,
and Jerry are running the show, man.
Tom and Jerry, yo.
I mean,
Look at Sahil's face.
Yeah, Sahil. Sahil, you need a minute?
y'all please talk. I'm more than I feel more than anyone. I'm just happy with this name placement. Like someone, when we used to write plays in college for college festivals, and you would be like, this character's name is Sas Bahu, and then you revise, ye Sas hai or ye Bahu hai at the end, and college crowd goes, whoa. It's the same thing, but on a much smarter scale.
that is what I'm saying. Like, had it been any other show, performed in any other way,
Yeah.
and directed in any other way,
Yeah.
he would just be like, this is the stupidest thing. And the funny thing is, Jesse Armstrong, of course, has done Thick of It, and he's done Veep. So he's actually made like really like genuinely funny, buffoonish shows, but he's taken the same things and made it Shakespearean. It's
Yeah.
just like
Well, I mean, you could make the argument that this is just a very dark comedy.
it is, of
Mm.
course.
It is.
You could make the
Yeah.
argument that this entire show is just a spectacularly dark comedy where from episode 1, day 1, okay, that guy has started dying from the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, to their credit, this dude has started dying from episode 1 and he has never looked back. And finally, they have made good on their promise. And just hilarious things have happened throughout. Because for me, while there's a ton of emotional scenes, etc., sometimes like the part that really gets me about this show is when it just surprises me into bursting out laughing out of nowhere, right? This show does it so well, like it just pulls a line out of somewhere, or like you said, that entire corner conversation, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Like where he's all like, oh, what? Pop didn't share like burial details with you. Like, oh yeah, he sent them to me all, and you realize that fuck, this guy actually, maybe had the best relationship with his
Yeah.
father, sort of out of all of them.
Because he's the most non-threatening of them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
कुछ नहीं
Never
चाहिए
try to
था.
fuck him over.
I mean-
तो गधा है.
Even in the like Logan's death episode, right, when Kerry comes out, like does that smile and then walks
Yeah.
away, and then Carl calls her Chuckles the clown.
Yeah.
All right, in the middle of all of that, like just it's so brutal and so horrific in the context of everything that is playing out.
I did think that moment where all the women sit in one pew together was a little like, okay, now the Infinity War, all the super women and all they're all in one frame together.
Again, to
like,
their credit
to
of
put it all
anywhere, just pulling Caroline of all people to be the
Yeah.
most human person there
Yeah, man.
in the middle. I appreciated that she was very like, listen, this is this,
Yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah.
Okay, deal with it. And I also really like Marsha's little joke about how he's not grinding his teeth.
I was gonna just
Like,
say
that was
Yeah.
really
How
nice.
all
That was
of them
again,
laugh.
in this
what a
season.
great
What a
joke,
moment.
right? What a great joke.
Marsha's a total like bitch this season in the best way
Dude.
possible. I can't believe
Yeah.
she self-corner his own inheritance.
Hey,
Yeah, of
come
course.
on,
Yeah.
come on. It's
Marsha's
money
here, Marsha's
at the
here
end
to
of the
collect.
day.
I love
Yeah.
Marsha's here to collect. She's there.
Yeah.
No, good for
Logan.
her.
So, like,
She's
exact- hold on.
wasted some years of her life
Yeah,
dealing
yeah,
with this man's
exactly.
idiosyncrasies. Like, fuck it. I need my money. I'm out.
But this season for me, Rohan, like you said, that it can bring a laugh out of nowhere. This season for me was about how it could just make you cry out of nowhere. Like Roman in that finale, like I have pre-grieved. Sorry,
Yeah,
in the funeral
Funeral.
episode. And then when he goes on stage, and then literally
He
his
cry.
breakdown,
Oh my God.
looking at
Also, dude, the
My
sort of the
God.
contrast to this thing of when he's practicing his speech
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
hotel room at the start, for me, that
I thought
actually
he
was
was
his
a serial
standout
killer.
moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Where where he's essentially doing like honest funeral speech, right? Where he's
Like,
like,
blah, blah, blah.
perhaps maybe I remind you. of a little bit."
Roman the showman.
Yeah, like literally, right? He's doing all that. It's so like, yeah, like you said, it's like a serial killer, right?
Yeah.
It's like
the
this
coldness
is a
of serial
sociopath.
killer.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
And then
At
I mean,
that
Kieran-
moment,
Kieran-
as he's saying, right, it's again like, see, for me the biggest takeaway from the show in terms of every bit of acting is that no matter what the character builds out to be externally, no matter how they act externally, at the end of the day they are all internally broken children. And these
Yeah.
moments where the broken children come out, it's like we were discussing kitchen scene, it's again broken children coming together, be like, at least we have each other, you know.
Yeah.
When he cries, oh
And
man.
Peter's cheese. We also
And-
have Peter's cheese.
Yeah. When he
Yeah.
licks
Couldn't
the
it?
cheese, it felt like kids on a night out, you know, like, oh, mommy is sleeping, papa is also not there, let's, you know, do masti. And that was like those moments is just like his crying, you know, was just one of those moments where you realize that no matter how you are externally, right, if internally you're deeply broken, anything will trigger
Yeah.
the breaking
So-
point.
So there is a very cool line about the show that this show is not only about the succession of legacy media, it is also about the succession of abuse. Like
Yeah.
parallelly you can see it like
Yeah.
that. Ki how is the abuse getting to
Damn,
the
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like
So
it's a cycle
Poison
of
drips through.
generational trauma, right? Like ultimately,
yeah.
the
I-
fact that Kendall had the same ending as he did in the first season. Like
Yeah.
he tried to overthrow his, take over the company, failed, and then at the end,
Every
the same
season.
thing. It's the
Yeah.
cycle.
Every
repeats.
season.
And
Every
also
season
I
Kendall has
have
the
a
same ending.
very important point there. So to know why this show ended like this, you also need to understand what Jesse Armstrong thinks as a creator. He fundamentally believes people do not change.
Yeah.
ये उस बंदे की पूरी लाइफ की थ्योरी है, इंसान बदलते नहीं है. तो ये वो मतलब ये सक्सेशन के पहले से बोल रहा है, सक्सेशन के फर्स्ट सीजन में जो इंटरव्यूज आ रहे हैं तब बोल रहा है. सो आई काइंड ऑफ न्यू कि भाई ये कैंडल का कभी ना कभी तो लाइक कटने वाला है. And in like season 4 when you see him go to the ocean, which is almost like the show ending like scene, right? I'm like, if they are showing it now, like you are giving this baptism like shot to Kendall, there is a very good chance he is not going to win now, because इससे better ending को Kendall को मिल नहीं सकती. And then they repeat the इसको उसने एक term दिया था, it's called a doom loop. He's stuck in a doom loop. And like and he cannot get out of it. So it's very fascinating.
Yeah.
I knew he wasn't going to win when in the the will reading episode, when basically Frank looks at him and just essentially he has that one last out where he could have walked away. Actually, when Frank says, "Are you sure, Ken, that you want back in?" Because Frank, weirdly enough, is the closest thing Kendall has
Yeah,
to an actual
yeah.
father figure
Yeah.
on the show, who actually gives half a shit sort of about him. And he says, "Are you sure?" Like he's like, "You seem to be in a good place." Like you
Yeah.
actually, for the first fucking time in a long time, that you seem to be in a good place. Why do you want to do this, right? And the second he says that, no, I'm like, this is not the story of someone who wins, right? When you
Yeah.
get that, when you get offered that out and you shut that door definitively for the, and also when he's laughed after that strap-on thing, right?
Yeah.
I was like, anybody who smiles this much in the 6th episode of HBO,
Yeah, same,
will not
exactly.
be
इतनी
smiling in
जल्दी
10th
आ रही
episode
है.
of HBO show. That's just, this is not even on Jesse Armstrong. This is HBO
what-
mandate.
Yeah, what was that guy's name? जो शिव का बीजे नोवैक था, like that guy who was with
Oh,
the
yeah,
president.
yeah, yeah. What was it? Gary.
Yeah,
No,
he
no,
says this
something.
line to Kendall, no, ki you are not Logan and it's a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It's such a great line.
But
yeah.
then he becomes, you know, like it's.
No, I
Yeah.
don't think he becomes Logan. I think they all become a little bit of Logan. It's Kendall doesn't
Nate.
fully become. Yeah, Nate. Kendall doesn't fully
Nate,
become
Nate.
Logan. Roman doesn't fully become Logan. Shiv doesn't become Logan. But they all have a little bit of Logan in them that's never going to go away. I thought that the show, and thinking about it now that it's over, was foreshadowing Tom Wormsgan's win right from the start of this season, because suddenly we see a sexy Tom.
Yeah.
when
Yes,
he
he
is-
was looking quite sexy this
He's
He was
season.
looking
glow up,
good
glow
and
up.
he's acting sexy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
For the
yeah.
first time, he's separated from his wife, right? He also, foreshadowing 101, he is literally holding Mr. Roy's hand as he dies.
Yeah.
So he's literally like kind of taken the company over physically as he's dying, right? As the father is dying, the patriarch is dying. Secondly, they made such a big point about showing Tom at work this season and how hard he works
Yeah.
at this job. In any of the previous seasons, he was always a bit of a joke. He was given this business empire to run, this news organization to run, which he knew nothing about just because he's married into the family. And he's given it ATS as a bit of a joke because ATS already has a company, has a team that's running it well and it's doing well, it's profitable. So just hand it to him. There are always other women who are running the show, and Tom is just there to feel good about himself. And then the minute Logan dies, Tom just turns into this beautiful like swan who's like, get me coffee, you're not allowed to be on the floor. He's pushing the siblings back into the room, he's making calls and he's saying the right things even. And at the end of it, he's like, I'm just here to do my job. He doesn't show up to the funeral. it's just we see a sexy Tom Wormsgans, and I was really like into it this season, that he's finally been able to come into his own, because now Logan is dead and he's separated from Siobhan, and for the first time in the show's duration, he's not scared. He's just doing shit, and
I
he's
think,
at a point.
yeah. In
but
retrospect, the other thing that really should have warned this thing us to it is that pointedly, every episode this season, a different character takes a minute to shit on him. Like, to literally takes a good, hard minute to essentially really take the time telling him why
Yeah.
he's worthless.
Yeah.
And exactly, like that entire conversation where Carl is like,
Carl.
Will may say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might
Yeah.
say. And this thing, and then in retrospect, like, oh, that makes sense. Keep beating him down.
Beating him,
Ah!
That
It's
a
scene when the
fucking
last
snake.
episode,
When
the
they
scene in
fight,
the
right?
last
When
episode.
Greg and him fight.
In the
Oh, man.
bathroom.
Oh no, I was.
Yeah.
That's a great scene, but I was going to say the team when he tells Shiv, "It's me."
Yeah.
Like with that scene, you know
Yeah.
like the again
तब
the
तो yeah,
acting that
मेरा
he's
कैंडल का
done.
प्यार चला गया था, मेरे को लगा टॉम को ही जिता हुआ. Like it was
You know, as if someone who doesn't want to show somebody else he likes or loves down, but like I have the power right now, I'm just
Right.
choosing not to show it. Like in that minute, that like one dialogue, "It's me." Everything, like all his humiliation that he's had at the hands of this fucking family, and he just wants to tell Shiv, "You fucking idiot! You think you have it? No, it's me." But the way he says it, just like putting down like a dog, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah, but
also
this
love.
is
I
also
also
very-
love how then Shiv starts buffering the second he says that.
Yeah.
The only thing is Shiv really starts buffering for 5 seconds.
yeah,
And
yeah,
has the
and
most Shiv reaction she can possibly have.
A
where
suit,
she's like,
an empty
scorn.
suit is what he calls
Yeah,
it.
just scorn. Like she's just so incapable of seeing him as a full person. Like, you know, in the same way she said that Logan couldn't fit a whole woman in his head.
Yeah.
He's somehow incapable of seeing Tom.
Tom
But
as a full
as-
person.
Real
The
person.
commentary, Rohan, over here, the commentary over here is that for wealthy people, anybody who's a working class, I mean, I know it's a big thing to call Tom working class in this sense, but anybody who's not generational wealthy is an empty suit, right? Like she can't even fathom him winning, because she's like, who are you? You don't have money. You are not
Yeah.
rich. You're not one of us. You're always the outside, and that's how she's always treated him.
Yeah.
That is how she's always treated him, as this guy who ultimately could be, you know, a good guy, a good husband, a good partner,
Yeah.
probably good at his job, probably the most mentally stable person among all the rest of them. And yet Shiv always has a chip on her shoulder when it comes to him, because she doesn't see him. She sees him from the perception of a class divide. She's not seeing him only as a husband. She's seeing him as a poorer person than her. And that's the arc of their entire marriage. And at the end, when Tom actually says to her that, you know, I'm in it for the fucking money, that's where I suppose Shiv for the first time probably sees him as this guy who's just like, okay, at least he probably has the same goals as me, and he says it out loud. Even he's after the wealth. And perhaps at the end, the reason and somewhere, I mean, again, you know, there was a discussion that Sucharita and I were also having on her stream, that did she know that, you know, I mean, had she met Tom before the finale?
Before
Perhaps
she flips
had.
the vote.
Yeah, perhaps she had, and maybe even if she doesn't have, she knows that the wealth stays
With
you
her.
know,
It stays
yeah,
with
with her, you know,
Yeah.
and she in the doom loop is actually her mother, and that's where she starts at, right? Like this woman, her mother is also this woman who's always been on the sideline of these men who are running the world, and she ultimately ends up exactly like her mother. So I mean, there's just again so much
Yeah,
minute
but
commentary.
I think like Shiv changed her vote the moment like Kendall put his feet on
Feet on
Logan's
the
desk.
table.
Yeah, that was the moment like I could see ये change कर रही है.
I
Like,
have
वो
a feeling
बहुत
that
visible था.
Shiv and Tom must have had a conversation before, and she was like in 50-50 mind where she's going to go
Yeah,
when
yeah.
she walked into the room also, because the first thing Tom says is he wants to fire Hugo when he becomes this thing, and then Hugo walks up to him and says, you know, I was always rooting for you, man, or something to the effect of that. And he's like, where's Carolina? The other PR head.
Yeah.
And that harks back to a couple of seasons
Yeah.
prior when Carolina goes up to Shiv and says, I would want to get rid of Hugo. If
Yeah,
that's-"
like the kill list is actually the same as Shiv's kill list.
Yeah.
It is exactly the same.
And
It's
Tom
the
goes
old
ahead
men
and does
and
that.
yeah, and Hugo who are all going, and Karen and Jerry are the two people who are staying.
I really
Yeah.
But
love
guy-
that you guys are
Yeah.
going into like such deep discussions of the show, and yet I still hark back to it's just children being children. Like that entire Shiv turning over the vote, or like, उसको मिल रहा है मुझे नहीं मिल रहा है ना मैं नहीं दे रही that's it it's
यही
just the
था,
whole
yeah.
character is just मैं नहीं दे रही vote fuck it I'll fuck him over I'll be happier fucking him over than letting anything come to me and it's so
Yeah.
beautifully
I also
ah.
think that somewhere she is when she says it out loud, and again, I'd love to hear what you all think, because I feel somewhere when she says, "I don't think that you are the most qualified person to do this. I don't think you'll be good at it," is what she says. I think like that's something that everybody knows, and it's a very obvious thing. But somewhere, and again, there was this whole discussion, right? Like for them, it is this company that is keeping that together, right? Like that now that Logan Roy is dead, the company has become him. They never got his love. So now if anybody gets the company, that means they have gotten Logan Roy's love. And the
Yes,
fact that
yes.
Shiv, like Kendall, is not deserving of that love, in Shiv's head. And it's kind of true, right? Like she's definitely more qualified than him in terms of, someone who's actually been a success in a political scenario outside of him. Roman's, through the whole time, we have seen him, except for, of course, like blowing up that rocket. He's been pretty decent at his job overall. Kendall has
Yeah.
never had a win. He's
But
never had a win.
But I do think like Kendall is somewhat competent. Like this question was also asked to Jeremy Strong in the podcast, and he said ki even when Shiv said that like I can't stomach you and I don't believe you can do it. But इस season में episode 4 onwards, if you'll see things, there were moments when you'll see him make the right Al Pacino move, and you'll see कि यार ये तो पूरा Godfather 2 zone में जा रहा है, right? Like there were so many moments like that. So only because of the sibling rivalry, लाइक मेरे को तो ऐसा लगता है इट्स लाइक कि आप लाइफ में बहुत मचा सकते हो बट अपनी फैमिली के प्रॉपर्टी डिस्प्यूट्स की वजह से आप पीछे रह गए लास्ट में यही होता है ना कि बस भाई बहन लड़ते रह गए अदरवाइज आई थिंक कैंडल ने कोई एपिसोड 4 ऑनवर्ड्स गलती नहीं की
But yeah,
थी
chakkar ye hai na ki his highs are high and his lows. So there's also about mental health, right? The whole thing about the fact that, of course, this guy is bipolar, so to speak. I mean, again, I don't want to prescribe. But he has his highs are really high and his lows are really, really fucking low. So when he goes on stage and he's on the high, his siblings are like worried because they're like, oh shit, what's gonna come now? Because he's at a high. And when
but he
hits a
didn't
low.
but like unlike last time he didn't shit the bed जैसे लिविंग प्लस वाला था so 3-4 बार लगा फ्यूनरल स्पीच में he'll shit the bed he did not लिविंग प्लस में लगा he'll shit the bed he did not so there were so many moments
but wait,
yeah
let me tell you, I'm sorry to cut you, but let me tell you where he did shit the bed, right? He did shit the bed in trying to convince Shiv. He said
yes 100%.
He said all the wrong things. If at that moment, if he would have said
I was just going to say, he shit the bed pretty hard when he said, I'm the eldest boy.
Yes.
Pretty hard bed shit.
Die instead.
That's a gigantic bed shit, right? He only says one correct thing in that entire conversation, which is the one honest thing he says in that conversation is when he says, I'm like a cog to build with, like, for
Only
this
one
one
machine.
Like,
but
that actually is the truth. Like, that's it. From age 7, he has been twisted by his father. Into this cog that will only really because this guy is not going to get a job anywhere else in the world.
He's not going to do
He's
anything.
to take that 2 billion or whatever he gets from
the 100
deal and just do
They're going to buy Pierce and shut it down in like 3 months.
Apparently, is this thing. But yeah, I think I'm glad.
What are your favorite lines this season? Do you have anything comes to mind?
Oh my god. There are
there's really good ones. Can I start with my favorite?
Please.
When Shiv saying, he couldn't fit a whole woman in his head. But the most, so the dialogue is very dense. It's very difficult sometimes to get into the dialogue because you don't understand what they're saying. They're just throwing words around after a point. And a lot of times I want to pause, go back, rewind and listen to what they said. And this was one of those moments. And when they're in the jungle with Madsen and they have first talked to each other, Roman and Kendall, that we're going to kill this deal. And they've not spoken to anyone else about it. And Madsen just offered them this big amount of money. And they're walking down the hill talking with each other. And they're walking up to Shiv. And Shiv is having her own crisis because she's realized that Mencken has a line with the ATN team. And Mencken is finding out everything that the ATN team is talking about. And they're walking up to her. But before they do that, Roman says to Kendall, if a deal collapses in the woods and no one hears it, is it an SEC violation?
That was a great line.
What a line!
That was a great line.
If a deal collapses and no one's allowed to hear it, is it an SEC violation?
Who
comes up with this shit?
No. That you can just have a book of one-liners
Yeah.
from Succession. That 100%.
Yeah. And then Shiv.
I
say-
also like how Tom roasted the purse of Greg's girlfriend, like in one of
Capacious.
the
Yeah, capacious. Yeah.
Capacious
appreciate.
And
handbag.
can I just say, we've spoken about everyone, but I mean, I still feel like one of the most standout family members who got shat on and yet didn't get shit on, but still got shat on. Cousin Greg, dude. Cousin Greg, the whole arc of this season, the sheer sliminess. Like, when he got slapped, I'm like, yes, yes, Mar
Didn't
Falico.
Didn't Kendall say to
Wow.
Greg this season, congrats on popping your betrayal cherry?
Yeah.
That was said to Greg
Yeah,
only.
yeah.
Did any of you think he can be the CEO? Like, kabhi laga ki okay, Greg might
Greg
just
the
take
egg.
it.
No, no, no,
Not
no,
at
no,
all.
no, no,
Not at
no.
Greg is
The
always.
highest
not.
paid intern.
$200,000 he makes.
You're the highest fucking
Assistant.
paid
Like,
intern.
just no chance.
$200,000. My God. Do you get any idea how much money that is in crores?
You know what I loved in terms of, and like Succession obviously has such smart lines, but the thing that I really loved again in this season, and I keep coming back to the fact, is how they give dignity to certain characters just out of nowhere. Like again, Connor in the
Connor.
second episode, and that's why I'm saying, like, for me, every episode has worked because suddenly in the second episode, Connor is like, the thing about having a family where no one loves you is that you get
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah.
I mean, like a throwaway line like that, it gives you everything that you need to know about that character in that one line.
Yeah.
Like you've treated, he's in a side character, he's been a sideshow the whole time, and suddenly you've given him weight. He says this, I don't know, I mean, I'll have to Google it, but he says this line about
I have it.
the
Sorry. You're talking
About
about
the same
another
line
line.
about
The good thing
whatever-
about having a family that doesn't love you is that you learn to
Oh.
live without it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's a whole line preceding that where he talks about the fact that it turns something in your heart, something cold, and what a line.
The
But even-
superpower one, yeah, it becomes a superpower.
Yeah, what a fantastic line.
Yeah.
And even in that episode, just Connor basically saying something like, I don't care. I
Mujhe
want to go
karaoke
to a
karna hai."
bar. Yeah, I want to go to a karaoke bar.
And
You know,
sing.
because just again, like, it's the humanity that they give.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about these
Or-
characters. It's the humanity that they give in the middle of all of these insults. Like, for me, Kendall repeatedly fucking showing up for his, siblings every once a while. You watch it, Tom. Like, in the middle of everything, there is an election episode happening. Everybody's going nuts. They're deciding the fate of democracy. And then Tom says something to Shiv, which is like a mean thing to say and possibly condescending, possibly misogynistic. And Kendall doesn't miss a beat when he says, watch it, Tom.
He also says it to the president.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said it to the president in the next. It's such a small thing. They don't even
Yeah.
focus on his face when he says something.
Yeah.
Roman,
Yes.
Yeah, they just like, you shat the bed. He says something of that sort, and he's like, not today. To the fucking president of United States, because that's the kind of. I mean, again, and just like those human scenes, or for that matter, Shiv in the same episode where Tom has come after a hard day and he's almost breaking down, and he's like, I've had a hard day.
I'm so tired.
Yeah, and she just
Yeah.
says, go home. Man, this is why the show I feel like it's the little things that have made us love these characters so much. Outside of all the great dialogue, outside of all the
Yeah.
great direction, everything. It's the humanity that this show has managed to give to the worst possible people that
Yeah.
make me feel so bad. That
And the way you said the side characters getting the weight, like the way in the funeral episode, Ivan, the brother, even like when he
Ewan.
gave his speech. Yeah, Ivan. Yeah,
wow.
that was amazing. Like were you guys expecting it that he'll give this speech?
Showing a whole different side of
Logan's
Yeah.
entire
Logan.
backstory.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
come in the second last episode or third.
Yeah.
And we are in that moment, we are Logan's children. Because
Yes.
they don't know the story either.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're learning it with them, and the show immediately transports you onto that first pew where you're watching Ewan tell the story with the same emotion that Roman is feeling in that moment.
Yeah.
And that's writing. They're making you
And-
feel the same emotion
Yes.
that the deceased's children are feeling. You are that.
And the fact that that his
Writing.
sister died of something, but they made him feel like it's his fault. I don't think like he still like they ever told him otherwise. And now you know everything about Logan's character.
It makes
Why
sense.
was he a terrible
It
person?
all makes sense. They all.
And there were parallels between the way Kendall killed the waiter, right? Like, so like Logan had also had the guilt that he killed someone. Someone died because of him, and in the whole show, Kendall had the same guilt. Like I killed someone, and like so there was
Yeah.
this parallel which I found to be
This
very
is
very
how
interesting.
the show, this is also writing mastery, because this is how they make sure that you connect to the characters.
Yeah.
Because the writers there are saying, "Did you know this about Logan?" Roman
Yeah.
also didn't know about this father.
Yeah.
Now you, so that makes you feel like you are his children.
Yeah.
You're Logan's children, and then you fall in love with Roman a little bit more. You fall in love with Kendall a little bit more because you feel the same thing they are feeling. The writers.
Yeah.
It's a little
I-
factually accurate that what Weber said though, because Kendall didn't kill him. He didn't kill
Yeah.
him. He didn't. He just made it up. He made it up to just bring them
Yeah.
together. Don't.
So I have a question for all of you. Did you guys think Tom won the thing? Like, did he win? Like, win the succession game?
Yes, he
Tom.
did. Because this is beyond what could have potentially happened for him if Logan was still alive. Logan would have dragged this on
But
forever.
the company is owned by someone else now. So is it actually a win?
And that's good for Tom, because I don't think he ever wanted to own the company. He just wanted the top job. He just wanted surety, and he just wanted to win over the siblings. His ambition was never to become an owner in the company. He just wanted to have some safety against the siblings who
And
he
yeah,
thought could like
I'm
shiv
with
him
you
and
on that.
everything.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's not that
He
he
never wanted to
suddenly
own-
become an empty suit like people are saying. He's always
Yeah.
been an empty suit. He loves being
Yeah.
an empty suit.
Yeah.
He says it also in that episode. He's like, I fucking love the money and the suits and this and the that. He is that. That's who he is.
And he
So
also
that's
likes
not
to
new.
get instruction.
Yeah.
He likes to have instruction. He likes to have someone above him tell him what to do and then let
Yeah.
him do it. So I don't think he wanted to become the owner at any point.
No, in a way, Matson is also the silent winner, right? Like he took it all because like he is going to be like that chairperson or someone जो पीछे से orders देगा, high command होगा, or like in a way he also won because he gets the equity, he gets the ownership. So that is also something I found to be very
I think
interesting.
I'm on Roman's side on this one. I think it's all bullshit. I don't think anyone wins this
It
kind of a thing. Like
is.
I feel like everybody loses. I feel like democracy
Yeah.
loses, the world loses, people lose because that's what the whole show is about, right? That's the commentary.
Yeah.
We're watching all of this, but essentially what the show is telling us is that the fate of this world and our democracy is in the hands of these really fucking wealthy folks who make decisions on the basis of what? Childishness. I don't like him. So, you know what? I'm going to fucking ruin democracy. Literally, Kendall says go for it because Shiv, his sister,
Yeah.
kept a secret from him. And he's like, fuck it. Let the asshole, let the Nazi be a president. Like, that's the way.
I mean, to be fair, man, if you look at the course of history, wars have been fought for less. Like, it's a horrible thing to say, but wars have been fought for way, way less by significantly less like rational men. In a way, I also think in a horrible way, Logan won.
By dying.
Right? Well, not just by dying, right? Like there's that great line in Ewan's speech where he said, I think I'm going to paraphrase, but he said he had a meager quality about him and he encouraged meagerness in others. And I think at the end, what's happened is they're all more meager, just spiritually, emotionally, all of those things at the end of the show. Like his meagerness, for all his wealth, it's his meagerness as people or as a person that has really stayed with his children. They're not serious people.
They're not serious people.
They're just
But
not.
look, while we're discussing has Tom actually won or not, the heir apparent is going to be a Roy Wormsgans. He's
True.
pretty much put his
Yeah.
name on the company.
Yeah.
50-50.
But also, one of the story, like we were talking about Logan winning, like his talk, him having that chat with his bodyguard Colin at the diner, where he's just talking about like what happens after you die. Like I think-
lovely
and he
scene.
has this-
Yeah.
What a again, it's like this show makes you recognize why these people are who they are, and somewhere make you realize why. I don't know. I mean, it's such a random parallel to make, but I don't know if you've all seen This Is Us. But somewhere like This Is Us entirely was a show about, people who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s right now. And then, but every episode goes back to a childhood memory or childhood thing that happened that made them who they are today.
Yeah.
So every episode somewhere was about like, this is the problem you're facing as an adult, and cut to like there's a childhood memory that you're like there's a parallel childhood thing going on where you realize that this is where it all started from. It was a beautiful thing that kind of almost like therapeutic to kind of helps you understand. And Succession did that, but about the worst people. It kind of recognized like
about the shit that really sticks.
Yeah.
That's Nikhil. It's about the shit that really sticks, the trauma, right? And I'm glad you mentioned Colin, because that actually is one of my favorite. Like, there's a lot of like great literary lines in the show, right? Like where you can quote them as quotes. But for me, in little throwaway dialogue writing, right, in terms of character building, the not the funeral episode, just the wake episode, the one immediately after Logan's death. When Colin comes to the house, first Roman walks into the room and he goes, "Did you know Colin wears jeans?" Then Kendall comes and goes, "Did you know Colin has kids?" And just the thing that each of them noticed and found the sort of joke about Colin is just so funny in that moment. And because you had that whole previous episode has been the bombshell that was Connor's wedding, right? To then suddenly open this sort of episode with, "Bro, did you know he has jeans? Bro, did you know he has kids?" It was just so funny to me.
And like Logan saying to Colin, "You're my best friend."
Yeah.
And then Colin suddenly feeling like, "Oh shit." And now I'm like attached to this man now. And then feeling like he has to take care of Kendall.
And even the third episode, again, this is where, as I said, like everything is in synergy, right? Like every shot is thought of. In the third episode, after when the body is being carried out, the camera goes first to Colin.
Yes.
Else. You're just like, he's the one who probably is going to feel the weight of his passing more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Because
he spent the most time with him.
Yeah, he was truly his friend and confidant more than any of these fuckers around him, and wow, like, just wow.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, like little moments of sort of humanity. Again, in that same wake episode, basically when Kerry comes and Marsha basically just goes full senior samurai on her. There's that sort of great moment where everybody else wants her to leave, like to take her to her apartment. But in that, like weirdly enough, this little dick pic sending Nazi Roman in the middle of all this is the one who sort of goes to her and picks
helping
her up and
her,
says, "Hey,
like,
do you have a number I can call, or can we sort this out? We'll get in touch."
Picking up her stuff.
Is being like a vaguely human person in that moment where she's breaking down. And again, I'm just like, what are you doing? Like just dropping these like deep character bombshells in these little moments, right?
Yeah.
And just spinning our heads around, not in like dramatic dialogue scenes, but just in these little moments.
Listen, Roman won, okay? There's nothing that you can say. Roman was the guy who won. He didn't want to do this. Then he's like, if he's doing it, then I want to do this. Then he got caught up. Then he's like, I don't know why we are still doing this. And at the end, when it all ended, he was just sitting in the bar, smiling, saying, "Tika, I'm free now." And seeing the world as it is, right? It's all, as Nikhil said, right? It's all shitty. He's walked in the public. He's like, y'all are all idiots. He's done. He's done. Roman's future is he'll be in Auroville next month, just chilling in Pondicherry, retired and living his life.
So, which sibling do you guys think needs the most amount of therapy? Who needs therapy the most?
Kendall.
Like if you have
Kendall.
Kendall.
Any day.
Yeah, like, oh my God. Like, Kendall needs therapy, all right? Not one of the other siblings has thought to themselves that I should get up on stage and sing a rap song. Not one of them, at the lowest of lows, has been as deluded as Kendall Roy has been at subsequent portions
or
of
made
the show.
up killing a man to bring the family together.
Made up.
I mean, I thought I killed someone, like that's... he does not even therapy, medication. That is what Kendall needs. That's the main thing.
That not just Kendall, I think Jeremy Strong also possibly needs therapy after this because of the last scene. Apparently, I don't know if all of you have read it.
Yeah.
In the last scene,
He went over the railing.
Yeah, he went and climbed the railing, and the actor playing Colin had to stop him from jumping.
Yes.
Wow.
But I think
there is a take.
Life में overexcited हो जाता है. Like, I feel like अगर if you give Jeremy Strong the role of Blade now, वैसा 2-3 लोगों में चाकू डालेगा. Like you can't give him a superhero.
Even Brian Cox also, no? Brian Cox, since he's left the show, he's also like, what is this method acting and shit? Like he's been like,
but he's been shitting on him since the start.
Jeremy Strong's acting.
In the most
method.
Brian Cox way, what does he call it? American shit. If I'm not mistaken, his exact words for it are American shit.
Kendall actually drank that thing जिसमें Shiv spit and he literally drank it.
When Kieran Culkin shows up in Barbados wearing the $14 Walmart shirt
Yes.
and immediately regressed back to his childhood because it's from his boyhood and he's found
Yeah.
it in a closet somewhere in that house because he's flown on a plane without a bag. And you turn up and it is such a visual shock when Siobhan turns up and then Early Worm gets the Roman. Early Bird gets the Roman. And
But she is a worm also, so it's good. It's a perfect analogy.
and he's wearing that Walmart $14 shirt, which is now sold out everywhere, and you can't purchase that.
Yeah,
anymore.
can't get it.
And immediately he's turned into this 12-year-old boy who just wants to go to mom and be like, "Can you fix this shit for me?" So
And his body language also, the
Yeah.
whole
It's very
Barbados thing is
mom-like.
very like
Yeah.
childish
he's
and
given up.
12-year-old.
He's not
like,
interested. And then Roman, if he was to go into therapy, he would be actually the one who would understand the value of it, and he wouldn't tell
Yeah.
anyone that he's doing therapy, but he would like do therapy every day.
But he
Yeah.
talks so
He got into it.
fast. How much information is therapist going to absorb in a 1 hour session?
Fuckity fuck.
Like at that Roman Roy speed
Yeah.
of talking.
Let's fuckity fuck.
Yeah.
I loved how crass he was this season. I mean, he's always been crass, but like the levels of crassness, like
Is it
much.
mine?
Yeah.
Is it mine?
That is
The
the other
best
thing.
Who is it, mine?
When in that funeral episode, when he was being extra crass, no,
yeah,
I'm like, this guy is gonna break.
defense. This is
This
defense
guy is gonna
mechanism.
break. Because while he's been tapped, he went like in the car, he went somewhere else only.
Yeah.
Right? Like pre-funeral, I'm like, this guy is deflecting so hard right now. Like he's just, and then when I'm like, yeah, now those jokes make sense.
Yeah, because he's probably been made fun of his whole life for being small and skinny.
Yeah.
And there's conversations about maybe he's homosexual or bisexual, and he's never really had the opportunity to explore that side of himself. And he is the only one this season, by the way, and Nikhil, I don't even remember, we spoke about this on our stream as well, who doesn't have a romantic angle in this season. He has no love until the last moment when his mother kind of mollycoddles him a little bit for like 30 seconds. He is the only one. Even Rava shows up. Even like Kendall has like some love in his life in the form of his children, in the form of his estranged wife, but still the mother of his children. Siobhan is flirting with Tom again, a little bit back and forth. Logan has this army of women who have been in love with him at some point or the other. Connor has Willa. Roman is the only one who doesn't. Even Jerry's husband shows up to the party. Jerry comes with her husband also. Roman is the only one who has no one loving on him.
When
the whole
Jerry
season.
says Roman, I could have got you there, man.
Yeah.
Like, how it would have hurt. Because she's right. They could have actually fucking taken over the whole thing and she could have got him there. But Kieran Culkin, what a phenomenal.
That's what then
what a guy.
then feels something. He goes into
Every
a,
award
into
this-
a mob of people because he's not feeling anything outside
Yeah.
of Baystar Royco. No one's loving him. No one's holding him in his hand. No one's even talking to about anything. That's not Baystar Royco.
I
So
just
he
want
goes
him to
into a
win
mob
all
of
the
people and
awards.
is like, I need to feel something different for a change. Hit me.
Yeah.
Every
Phenomenal.
episode, I'm just watching and I'm like, hey, this person's a good actor, yeah. Oh wow, yeah.
Huh.
Hey, Kieran, wow,
Yeah.
is anyone bad on this show? Cause
You would
And
be
they
replaced
redeem-
so fast if you
Like-
were bad in one shot even.
yeah.
Written out of
And
the
like-
show so fast.
And what I love is they managed to redeem like even the littlest, like again, like sorry, I just keep coming back to different lines, like just keep hitting me and make me laugh again. Like when Ken tells Stewie, please, you like waffles and pancakes and you kiss guys on morning.
Guys
Not
on
the
Mars.
heart of darkness.
Yeah, heart of
I love
darkness, my
Stewie.
ass.
Dude,
I
Aryan Moyer
Swag. When he
Aryan
said,
Moyer has
"Ken,
so
baby."
much riz. It's like I
Yeah,
cannot
tons
deal
of
with
riz,
it.
tons of riz,
So
tons of
much
riz.
riz.
You can, baby.
Have you all
I
seen
wanted
Inventing
Kendall
Anna?
to win ultimately for the confidence that Stewie had in him.
Yeah, of
Team
course.
up, baby. Poor guy,
So
man.
much
After
risk.
that kind of a confidence show and a board of directors meeting, to actually find out that the person he
Yeah.
voted for has lost.
have
Poor
have,
guy.
have you guys seen that meme, Oppenheimer or Barbie? Oh, उसमें Stewie का team Ken, baby.
And Team Ken, baby. Ken, baby. Have you all watched Inventing Anna? He plays the lawyer. in
Yeah, he
that
plays the
show,
lawyer
and
in Inventing Anna.
so good. He's
very
he's
good.
also a cop in the Marvel universe.
he's there
in the
He's
Spider-Man
randomly
movie.
He's the guy.
Spider-Man
He was. Everyone thought he's Charlie Cox because of his, hairy arm.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "That's his." But that was.
He
yeah.
has way too much riz. Like I would hang out with Stewie any day in New York City. Oh my goodness.
He
Stewie
takes
would
him
show
to
you a good
Rhomboid
time.
like in season 1. It was a great
Yeah,
episode.
yeah.
That's a very
Probably.
interesting question. Who, like, she said Stewie, right? If you could hang out with someone for a day from the
Stewie.
character list, okay, forget
Oh,
not
wow.
not actors, the character, like just spend a day with them. Who would you spend it with? It's very interesting.
100% Stewie. He would show you a good fucking time, and he's going to be an asshole about it because he is rich at the end of the day, but he is a lot more well adjusted than the
Bro, you
Roys.
could have an actual conversation with him.
Yeah.
I'd
For
still
sure.
say Jerry. I just think like she's possibly the most competent person on this entire series, and that's why she was actually made CEO. Because even Logan Roy recognized that, well, she's the one who probably is not going to fuck it up. So just someone who I think it'll be great to have someone like her to have on your phone list, dial list whenever there's a problem and you just Jerry, I'm not Roman, I'm not gonna fuck it up, so just help me out here, and she'll give the best fucking advice, I think.
Yeah.
Fair. I think I'd hang out with Roman. I think even though he's broken, I think it just one day there'll be a lot of nonsense that happens that will make for some fun stories. Like, hey dad, fuck off. Why you want to suck my dick? He said to his son. Stuff like that. Just experiences that Roman Roy faces. I think are very unique to Roman Roy. So that's my
Also,
vote.
I would want to hang out with that guy Roman met in the training. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The guy who's what? Socially conservative but intellectually
Yes.
promiscuous.
Yes.
I also think like hanging out with Jess, after
I
she's-
was gonna say that was gonna be my answer.
Oh.
Dude,
I
it
have
was gonna be
so
Jess.
many things.
Dude, 1 second. It's just not
All
out
the
of mind.
gossip.
1 second. She's Kendall Roy's assistant, which means
Yeah.
she has access to all of the stuff that Kendall Roy has access to.
Yeah.
Which means she could logically get us into any bar, any restaurant, any this thing.
Yeah.
All of that.
Without
And
the
I would
added
want
baggage.
without the added baggage
Yeah.
of Kenny Boy. And
Yeah.
then I would just give her a shot of Jägermeister. And I would take my shot of Jägermeister. And I would just very innocently say, wow, Kendall Roy, that must be a trip. Huh? And then I would just sit there and I would listen. Because look, all of us
No, I
have
think
hung
she's
out with-
smarter than that. She's smarter than that. She's
No,
not
no,
giving
after
any
she's
of
in
been
the
Kendall's
end,
Kendall's
after,
left,
at the
I
end,
think
at the end,
Yeah,
yeah. Because
after
look,
many
I'm
Not
just
giving
saying,
any
he's-
secrets
I'm
until
just
she
saying-
leaves.
all of us here, all right, I'm just saying, all of us here have a different points in our career, in our life. Hung out with Bollywood people, and I've hung out with the people that work with Bollywood people. I would 10 days out of 10 get a drink with the people that work with the Bollywood people.
Yeah.
over Bollywood people because the stories are 10,000 times
Yeah.
more clear-eyed and
Right.
The
entertaining.
stylists. The
Yeah.
stylists tell you what's what.
Exactly, right?
They
Like,
tell you
so-
what's what.
I want to see Kendall's tweet drafts, which I'm sure that Jess
Nice.
would have.
Oh,
If I
dude.
ever meet Jess, I'd just be like, show me the kind of tweets he was about to make and that he didn't, that you stopped him from. Because I think they'd be the funniest
Yeah.
fucking things.
Cunt is as cunt does.
Like, yeah.
I bet he's wanted to tweet that at some point.
It's
You know-
basically philosophy on cocaine,
Yes.
essentially,
Yeah.
is what it would be.
The creator of Leftovers like made a post that he said he'd be interested in making a spin-off of a show of Carl and Frank where these two guys are just chilling.
In. I'm in. I'm 100% in for this corporate
No
Thelma and
thanks.
Louise.
Yeah.
Cannot
I'm-
stand them.
Love
Can't
them.
stand them.
Love
Fuck
them,
it.
would spend a lot of time around them because I just feel like if you follow them around for long enough, they're going to do something very old guy stupid.
Let me-
And
And also for
Yeah.
like CEOs and COOs of the company who've been around for a long time, they have no personality. They have no, like, when we were meeting Rhea, you remember her from the
Yeah.
previous
Yeah,
season?
yeah.
Yes.
When she is running the show for Pierce, like she is a person that Logan Roy speaks with, communicates with on a one-on-one level. Like Kendall doesn't hold a candle in front of her because she's that like in control of her Kendall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's that in control of her company, but like
But-
none of the men, Frank and whatever.
No.
But I would
But
like to
they-
have you know they are extremely experienced because they know that before a flight you put on your compression socks. Alright? They know that pre-flight you roll
This
them
is
up and you
old.
put on your compression
they're
socks.
just old
which-
white men.
Which
But
then
there was
leads
a-
to again one of the other great lines of the series, which is when Hugo says snakes on a fucking plane.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are snakes on a plane. We go, we are snakes on a plane.
But there was a switch. There was a switch in their personalities after Logan died, right? Like they opened up more. They were able to like bully Kendall more or Tom more, and you could see Carl साल ऐसे भी बात करता है, because like लोगन दबा के रखता था इनको, and
Yeah.
like they wouldn't say anything, and suddenly you see these people be so articulate and like tell कि अच्छा ये करो ये मत करो, so वो भी काफी सही था.
Carl showing up like as CFO saying, I'm the fucking CFO.
Yeah.
Can't fucking go
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, you know, he's at one of the top positions in this
Yeah.
entire empire. Doesn't
Let
seem
me
like it.
actually flip the question and ask, like, who would you never want to hang out with among the characters of this show?
Siobhan, I couldn't.
Right?
She's just, I don't like her vibe. I feel like she's too unpredictable. She's too unpredictable as a human person. I
Like,
wouldn't hang out
even
with Siobhan.
face-wise, you would get it. No, but
Oh, this is very accurate.
yeah, I just
Jared Menken. I would not want to hang out with Jared Menken if that's okay with everybody. I would like to not. But yeah, Siobhan and Jared Menken. Who else?
When Mencken asks Mattson what his philosophy is, like what side he leans on the political
Yeah.
spectrum, he says, privacy pussy
Pussy
pasta.
pasta. Which he's
Actually,
also said
I-
at the party, right? Which is exactly what he's told Kendall at Ken's birthday party, right?
Oh yeah?
Like, that's a callback. Yeah. Privacy pussy pasta is his
Oh.
big, is Mattson's big 3 Ps.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Like, from the first time we meet him.
Privacy pussy pasta.
it is.
But
In-
I wouldn't want to hang out with Madsen. I just think like he's
He's a psychopath also.
He'll give you
Yeah,
a
yeah,
break
it's
of his
blood.
blood.
Dude,
He'll
That's
give you
what I
blood.
like.
That
about any vials of
conversation
blood.
between him and Siobhan, where he describes it first, it was
That's
funny.
what you need.
And then it was not funny. And then again it was funny. And then I'm just like,
And when he
oh,
fucking
God.
tells Tom that he wants to fuck his wife, like what the
Oh.
fuck kind of psychopath power move is that?
Yeah,
man?
it's
The
just-
fact that he sent his blood to Ebba, you know, as a
Crazy.
joke, and then like, not as a
Just-
joke, and then like as a joke again, and then somewhere it's not a joke again. Dude, what?
Just-
I think he's just he's exactly the kind of tech bro that I would never catch. with.
Yeah, before the invention of the internet, he would have just been a good old-fashioned serial killer. Before the invention of technology.
I mean, they're all white,
Possibly.
and also everyone on the
Gojo
show is
killer.
white. There's no diversity in the show. In these lives of these people, there is no room for anyone who's not white.
No, of
Darkish,
course not.
Jess is there. Jess is there.
So but
as an
Like,
assistant.
Prime
Like,
Minister
as an
not as
assistant.
like
Not
real
as-
power.
yeah,
right?
yeah, not as like.
No
Very
one,
royal
they
family.
don't do business with non-whites. They don't do any kind of romantic alliances. I don't know what nationality Rava is supposed to be. I can never tell. But they don't do any like
She's a dosa.
alliances.
Yeah. There's Marcia, no, there's Marcia.
You're too online, Sahil. You've lost context. You
There is
just-
Marsha, though. Yes, there is
Yeah.
Marsha. Who is he's now given up for Kerry.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
but
there's,
even like I
everyone's
think
white.
there's this whole conversation about whether and again I mean I don't agree to at least the misogyny conversation. There's a whole conversation that does do female characters in Succession not have much to do because of the situation of like the white men that they're in, or is it because like that's what the writers think and feel, and that's why Shiv always can never again catch a win. And the same goes for black people. Like like in season 3, you had a pretty well-known actor in. I'll have to Google her name, but she was a this black actor who's kind of been around.
The lawyer.
The lawyer.
Kendall's lawyer, and she had like like barely an arc, and she was one of the, and when it comes to guest starring folks, anybody who's been a well-known face has had whose guest starred has had like a Madsen kind of arc.
Yeah.
And then there's this one black character who actually came in like a big fashion.
Yeah.
Kendall's lawyer, and then like in 2 episodes she
And
was-
did well because like Kendall
Yeah.
chases her to
yeah, and then she has nothing to do. She had like
Yeah.
the least lines, the least
and she
screen time.
vanishes.
Yeah,
Never to
so-
come back.
so
No,
I
for
do-
sure.
but-
That is a very valid criticism
Yeah.
against the writers and against the showrunners. They're all white, they're all men. The people who created it are all white, all men. So yeah, and that shows. And that showed in unless I'm completely off the mark here, Veep as well.
Yeah. No, Veep
Oh
also
yeah,
did
wow.
not.
Veep also.
Pick of it, Veep.
No,
all
hey,
of
Veep had Richard. No, that
At the end. In the last couple of seasons.
None of the main characters
Not
did the
not
story.
yeah, not in the beginning.
No.
And again, sometimes you can actually call it commentary also. Okay, this is the
Yeah.
white. Fox News world, that even in the
But
Fox,
then the White Lotus is also making that commentary, no?
exactly, that's the point. The point
That's
is
how
where
you
the
make a commentary.
Yeah, where does the commentary
Rich
start
people
and your
world,
own
yeah.
biases come in?
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's commentary. Rich people.
You, who hasn't answered, Rohan? You've not said like who wouldn't you want to hang out with?
You're on mute.
Who wouldn't I want to hang out with?
Who would like suck to hang out with?
Greg, what a piece of shit.
Also, you'd be doing all the dumb work, right? Because
Yeah.
he gets the shit end of every detail. Like,
You know, Greg would be amazing to hang out with because he would
Actually.
do what you're hoping Jess will do for you. Greg will give you the
He'd,
juice.
he'd give you the park
But
coke.
what's in it for me? You know, what's in it
Yeah,
for
but
him?
he'd do it because he wants something in return.
Yeah.
Not if you have nothing to offer.
Show him
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
good time, tell him you're his friend, you're his confidant, you'll date him, whatever. He will tell you everything. If I was to hang
Yeah.
out with Greg and smooch his face once, he will tell me the nuclear codes. He'll give me
Yeah.
everything.
okay, first of all, the idea that somebody like Greg would have the nuclear codes is
And
in
also
and of
like,
Possible.
itself a horrifying thought.
also like he's like 20 feet tall and I'm 5'1", to be able to kiss his face would also just be impossible. But no, for real, like you give him like a little like carrot at the end of a stick, Greg will give up everything.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to hang out with Kerry. Yeah, very
Why?
I don't know, like her face
Oh, face! Oh, face!
and her arms and her arms are not right. Arms are not right.
Face
Arms are not right.
Wow.
Arms are not
I
right.
think, is it the smile? Is it the creepy smile? That
Yeah, the creepy
Chuckles the
smile,
clown.
like
Is it Chuckles the clown?
yeah, Chuckles the
That's
clown.
what it
Like
is.
What a
my heart
light.
really broke for her, yeah. She was crying, like
Yeah.
actually
poor.
crying.
Like after Logan's death, I'd totally hang out with Kerry because I feel like, you
She would
know,
just cry.
yeah, dude, like poor girl, like you
उसको
know.
क्या पैसे भी नहीं मिले उसको
नहीं
नौकरी
man,
भी नहीं है
what
उसके
a-
पास कुछ उसने
That-
कुछ नहीं बचा के सेविंग्स भी नहीं होंगी क्योंकि महंगे महंगे कपड़े पे खर्च कर
And
देती
she was
तो।
genuinely like, so again, this is the dignity, right? Like she's not just doing it for the fucking money. She
Yeah, she
genuinely loved
genuinely
him.
तो
loved him.
बच्चा भी होने वाला था ना. They were. She said no that they were planning for a kid.
yeah.
I think she said.
Hugo.
also.
I wouldn't want to hang out with Hugo.
Woof.
Why?
Woof.
Yeah, Woof Hugo. I don't know how to explain it, but like Hugo's like, he seems like a friend of yours. Like, where if you go to meet him
Yeah.
from out of town, no, he'll be like, "Chal yaar, red light area jate." Like,
Oh,
I don't know how to explain
Rohan.
it, but like,
Rohan,
I don't
I-
know how to explain it. But Hugo seems like that guy.
But-
like, where
but-
straight or knee, he'll be like, "Let's do that." No man,
I-
that's cool.
I have a very crazy story there. So you guys know Shaunak Sen, right? So Charita also did an episode with him. He was nominated for an Oscar for All That Breathes. So I was doing an episode with him. He told me this very cool story. He was going in a flight, और वहाँ पे he met this guy who played the role of Hugo. Fisher Stevens. दोनों बैठे बताया. So इसने बताया मेरी picture Oscar के लिए nominate हुई है. He is like मैं Succession में हूँ. So Hugo is also a director. Like Fisher Stevens is a director.
Yeah.
His
He's an
wife
Oscar
is
winner.
also his wife
Yeah.
also his
So
wife had a
he-
movie at Cannes.
He gave a script to like Shaunak. He read it and Shaunak ने अपना All That Breathes दिखाई. दोनों ने like they just like were like ऐसे best buddies till the flight like reached the destination, and Hugo is like, why don't you come to the set of Succession? I'll like, and in one episode Shaunak Sen is in the extras.
Shut up.
That's
Shut up.
insane.
That's insane.
Shut up.
Shaunak,
That's
which one? Which one?
insane.
Which episode?
So this he didn't tell me then because it's either episode 3 or the funeral
I'll have to
episode.
ask him.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
And he just kept telling me that's the pre-cap of my episode with him. He's
That's
like, कि the way they showed
insane.
Succession, बस like walkie-talkies पे बोल रहे थे, अच्छा ये कैमरा पास में लाओ, ये कैमरा दूर में लाओ, like because there are so many cameras which are always rolling and the director is not coming in front and saying okay, you do this, you do that. Everything is said on a microphone and like the activity is happening all the time. So I'm pretty sure he was talking about Connor's wedding because वहाँ पे they kept the camera rolling. Yeah. So and like
I'll
Hugo
have
was
to
kind
ask
enough
him.
to take him on the set and make him an
That's
extra.
And like the most-
amazing.
The most random thing that I've read about Succession is apparently Fisher Stevens was like a playboy in his time. Like
Yeah,
he
back in
was-
the day.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
back
like
in the
back
day.
in the day, he
really
was
good
like
looking
the
women.
smoothest operator. So the fact that he's playing this sleazeball kind of a character right now is just like a
Yeah, okay, because
Like
it's not a
fine.
comment on Fisher Stevens in any way. I'm sure he's a lovely guy.
Of course,
I'm
yeah,
just
of
saying
course, of
Hugo
course.
is just
Yeah.
oily as fuck on the show. Like
Of the
really
term
just
oily.
super oily.
yeah.
Like, super oily. Like you know that this is Greg's future
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
Ah.
Which is your favorite scene of the show? Like an underrated scene that you really, really like or you go back to a lot?
Underrated
Everyone.
scene. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
not like
say,
the main
I can't
scene.
say
Like an,
all of season 3 finale. I can't say that.
yeah,
That can't be a
not
thing.
that. Like an underrated scene.
Underrated.
Can I go first? Like I have a scene in
Yeah,
mind which
please.
I always go back to.
Please.
It's from season 1, episode 7 or 8, where Kendall relapses for the first time. So he goes to the bar and he orders like Smirnoff on the rocks Smirnoff. तो आप वहाँ पे अगर केंडल के एक्सप्रेशंस देखोगे ना, एंड जेरेमी स्ट्रॉन्ग ने एक एपिसोड में बताया भी था, ही कॉल्ड अप अ फ्रेंड एंड ही आस्क्ड कि समवन हु लाइक हैड रिलैप्स, कि अगर कोई रिलैप्स करता है तो विच इज द फर्स्ट ड्रिंक दे ऑर्डर इन जनरल. बिकॉज पहले, yeah, so first he orders ki, do you have any non-alcoholic beer, and the girl says no. And so he's like, how about sparkling water? Then the bartender gives like Kendall sparkling water. Then they keep start talking, and then he says ki, okay, give me Smirnoff. और वो Smirnoff लेता है, and then there is this scene, like I can make an essay about it, वो जो twitch in the eyebrows and the eyes you will see ना, when he's having it for the first time. एंड वहीं से कैंडल का डाउनफॉल चालू होता है, और उसके बाद वो फैमिली थेरेपी वाला पार्ट भी आता है, राइट? लाइक द वे ही टेक्स अ स्मॉल सिप एंड देन देयर इज अ होल्ड एंड देन ही टेक्स, वो पूरा ऐसे नहीं गटकता नहीं है, इट्स वेरी सिंपल. लाइक उसने ऐसे थोड़ा सा सिप लिया, थोड़ा सा सिप लिया. सो इट्स वन ऑफ द most interesting and fascinating portrayals of relapse according to me. So this is a scene that I really like.
For me, it was one of the earlier seasons when Logan is recovering from one of his illnesses. I don't know if it was the first stroke or if it was the after the president scene, but I think it was the first stroke. He's recovering, and Siobhan is beginning to make her way into the family business. She's now relinquishing her political career behind her because it's not working out with the Bernie Sanders stand-in, and she's beginning to think that she might get the top job. And he's saying Pinky this, Pinky that. He calls her. There's an episode where he's calling everyone into the room one by one, and then he calls Siobhan, and Siobhan is convinced that she's about to get the job. Daddy's going to die, and he starts talking to her, and she says she thinks he's expressing love, and he holds her hand, and then he tries to move her hand onto his penis under the blanket, and she recoils, and then she doesn't know what to make of that moment, and she leaves the room, and then she doesn't tell anybody, and she doesn't know how to deal with it. Which is an insight into what her life has been like growing up surrounded by men who are loud, who are very sexual, who say these weird things, and she has had to kind of harden herself to become a man among these men and become an asshole among these people. She didn't really have an option but to protect herself and her sanity growing up her whole life from. I'm not saying that there was sexual assault going on around her when she was growing up, but it was all so male oriented, the conversations, the vibes, the energies, that she's had to steel herself, and that gives an insight into that character.
Did you accidentally mix two scenes? Like, I think you were talking about the scene where Shiv goes in and like he's saying you will be the next successor. और जो आप ये penis वाला scene बता रहे हो, that is when he was really sick in season 1. The other scene is in season 2, where he goes and Shiv goes into the. So these are two separate scenes. The one you are talking about, the penis one, where वहाँ पे Logan thinks she's Marcia.
She's Marcia. He's not. He's under no this thing that who she is. He doesn't know who she is, but she doesn't know that he doesn't know that she's not Marcia. Perhaps I'm mixing two.
These are two separate
that
scenes.
moment when she kind of recoils and then leaves the room and then she doesn't know how to tell anyone, and
yes.
He's fine. We had a nice chat.
Like studied, like he's snorted the series. Like
he has.
Full on.
Okay.
I have a
Let
couple
me
of
correct
these
you.
little scenes. I have a couple of these. One is when the satellite blows up and Roman's watching the launch on his phone and the thing, and he just puts the phone away, puts it in his pocket, and
he washes his hand.
Sort of washes his hand and just folds the towel back like he was never there, and just
washed his hands off of it
completely and just leaves. That was one scene. I think same. That's season 3 only when Kendall is about to go on that comedy show, basically where that host has been roasting him, etc. All of that, and he sees the letter they published about his behavior, etc. and he just sort of walks down that
That
corridor
was my scene.
alone and sits down. And it's like, revenge. You said Jess. Revenge. That letter, that scene definitely. The entire arc between Tom and Greg at the wedding, where Tom is telling
Oh my
Greg to hit on that
God.
girl because if Roman gets with her, he'll invade
He'll
Poland.
invade France,
He'll
Poland.
invade Poland. That entire. Also, just I mean, you can pick any, but dude, that entire Sporus, I would castrate you in a
Oh.
heartbeat
fuck.
scene. All right, because
Although that's not like underrated. I think one of the
but I'm just
greatest
saying,
scenes.
not in a million years. All right, in the hard lefts and the hard rights that screenplays have taken in this world, could I have seen that scene coming? And yeah.
Mm.
I think every scene where just Jeremy Strong has had to, again, not underrated, just perform like silently has
Yeah,
been
man.
incredible, man. Like in the second season when he's just near the railings of the, at his terrace. And
Yeah.
I think the first season, and then they put like railings in the terrace or whatever to stop him. Just
Yeah.
him hanging around there. Like, that this is a defeated man. Like, he can do anything. And that scene, again, for me, I mean, I just immediately went back to that scene because I was just like, man, what is this actor? Like one take of him just absorbing, and like the thing that it went from, again, the high off, I want my Twitter to be off the hook, like him having that thing that I'm going to be. And there's a big there was Zive, if I'm not wrong, who was supposed to meet him in that show, right? And she's actually a real world celebrity,
Yeah.
interviewer, etc., really cool
Yeah.
person. So for him to finally get that validation from mainstream pop culture, where he's like
Yeah.
gone ahead on like galas and said smash the patriarchy, and now he's going to do something much cooler, and then to have that, I'm not going to be able to do, and just the plethora of emotions on his face just in that single take.
Kendall's whole thing, always right from the first thing, has been Haath ko aaya muh nahi laga.
Yeah,
Ha,
poor
ha,
That's his
ha.
whole thing. Every episode is Haath ko aaya muh nahi laga.
So bad for him. But like
And
from
the
one
episode
really
you are
random-
mentioning, sorry to cut you, but the
Yeah.
episode
That's
you are
right.
mentioning, उसमें भी नहीं, उसमें भी वही चीज होती है कि Shiv does something which hurts him, because Shiv like puts out that letter where like she kind of like outs him, and like that is
Yeah.
also the ending of the show.
I also
So-
a very random scene that for me, I just every time I think of it, I burst out laughing. Is when Greg is about to sue Greenpeace, and
Yeah.
then
Oh,
Tom
yeah.
finds out,
I've got
and
beef
Tom is
with
just like,
Greenpeace.
"Who are you gonna sue next? Save the children?" And like, so Save the Children is one of Yuva's primary partners,
Yeah.
And every time that I've thought of, I've laughed so hard knowing the people who work at Save the Children and knowing who those people are, and then
Yeah.
for Tom Bombsgan saying this on television.
Who's gonna sue
Who are you
next?
gonna sue you next? Save the Children. I'm thinking of all the folks that I know
Too
in that
funny.
office, being sued
Sued by
Greg.
Greg.
Just that image is such a funny thing for me. What a
It's-
fucking.
Yeah.
I will add two things. One, for me, if whenever I look back at this show, I will only remember that line: "You can't make a tomlet without breaking a few Gregs," which is
I
by
mean-
far one of the great. Forget name theories, okay? Forget
great
name
line.
theories. The fact that they were like tomlet, Gregs, whoever wrote it, whoever
Yeah, whoever
deserves
wrote it.
like.
Agreed.
It's the same person who ended it on Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
there, right
Whoever
there.
wrote it, it's not so much about whoever wrote it. What a great writer! Whoever wrote it, I want their weed dealer's number. Like,
Yeah.
this is we're in that territory now. It's like, take me to your source.
But yeah,
But
when
I
he's
think-
crying, no, and the siblings are hugging him, right? And there's just that one pat on, like nothing. That just that frame. That's all
Yeah.
you need, like a frame to just explain dynamics, explain characters, explain backstory. Just every bit of that frame as to how they are dealing with grief, how everyone's dealing with grief. Oh,
Also,
so
look at the
good.
names, right? Look at the names. Logan named his children: Connor, Kendall, Romulus, Siobhan,
Yeah.
and outsiders Tom and Greg.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Commonplace
Yes.
names.
Yes.
But also, I think like for me, anytime I think about the show, I think the big line for me that's like always going to be a takeaway is, you are not serious people. I think like the
I love
best-
you,
in
but
a,
you're
in
I
a-
love
in
you,
a
but you're
show
not serious.
which had some of the best insults I think ever known to man, that any man could say to any other man. For Logan to just reduce his children's entire identity to the fact that they're not serious people.
Hmm.
What a hurtful thing to say to
Yeah.
people in their 40s. You know, you are not.
But
serious.
also, can you imagine three
Fuck.
or four people that needed to hear that more than these
I
four
agree.
people?
Yeah.
Like that's the horrific this thing of it, right? Like
Agree.
he's right. Like they
He's
need
right.
to hear that,
You're
right?
not.
And I love that entire scene happens in like a karaoke room because they really are a cover of a family and not like a real family.
Fuck
Right?
yeah.
Love you
Which
all.
brings me back to
Real.
that other amazing line where Matson is like, "You're a tribute band," which I think is one of the most
Oh.
hardcore insults I have ever heard. I like,
Yeah.
along with
Yeah.
preach to me, Walter, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, in that episode, the fact that Roman had this outburst in front of Maxim
Oh.
saying,
Yeah.
fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, you
Oh my
you
God.
killed my dad. You're a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then in the
It
end, like that,
works.
again, just this series that they get a better offer. And everybody is congratulating them. And
Yeah.
Kendall and Roman are just sitting, like, just looking at that better offer. And like, that's the defeat for them. That they got a much, they're going to be bigger billionaires.
If Roman ever went into therapy and if it's he's gonna marry his therapist, he's gonna propose to his therapist. Will
He's
you?
gonna marry
and
Jerry only. I think Jerry's
Jerry only is gonna marry.
he's gonna go outside her door and he's gonna beg her to come back, and she's going to come back to him at some point. I really genuinely.
Yeah.
I don't
like,
think so. I think Jerry's
the,
done
the
with it.
only hopeful ending I felt like was like Roman. I think is gonna turn. It's everything is bullshit except for Jerry.
Yeah.
And they move to Auroville. I'm telling you, this is my plan for the future. For both
Jerry's
of
not
them.
leaving.
Jerry's
New York.
not.
She
Yeah,
loves
Jerry's
New
not
York
going to
so much.
Auroville. Yeah.
No, it's a fuck
I'm
off.
sorry,
Go to
Roman
Auroville.
maybe, Jerry no. Jerry, that boardroom, Jerry is in Auroville.
Yeah,
Every
yeah,
time
yeah.
Jerry's in that boardroom, she's in
That's her Auroville.
Great.
Yeah. I can see Kerry in Auroville, not Jerry. Yeah. Kerry can.
Roman has to marry like someone older than him. He's going to marry like as a therapist or like the first, older woman that
Yeah,
gives him any
like,
kind of love.
yeah.
He'll be like, I love you, marry me. And let's move to
Yeah.
Auroville. I have enough
Yeah.
money, I'll buy Auroville. Let's go.
Like Roman is twisted enough that he will get married to the first older woman he finds that looks like Logan Roy. Like,
Oh.
like just work with me here.
Yeah.
Work with me, but I'm saying genuinely that is like that really is.
That's the energy he wants.
Of
I don't
Roman's.
think I've
Yeah.
seen physical comedy done better in my life
Than
than
Kieran.
I've seen
Yeah.
when Roman's dick pic is seen by his dad.
That's
Oh,
slick,
Change of
dude.
That's
expression.
slick.
That's
That's
that-
slick.
That's just
That expression
down
of being
like that.
caught, the cringeness of that. I have not. I don't know how do you do that. How do you show? I've always felt like again. I have always felt like one of the most difficult emotions to show on screen, and this is my personal opinion, is
It's cringe.
embarrassment.
Yeah.
Is embarrassment. Like, how do you show that you're embarrassed? And any actor who's able to make you feel embarrassed by their embarrassment, I think is
Yeah.
one of the greatest actors ever. So in that regard, Kieran Culkin in last year was the year, the last season was when I was like, man, Kieran Culkin is going to go on to do some really fucking big things. And someone recently compared him to like a Robert Downey Jr. and said like Robert Downey Jr. also had like a very similar vibe when he was younger, like this wily character who had all these like snappy jokes and then went on to be like a good actor, so to speak, and in big films. And
There's
everyone,
Oppenheimer next month.
yeah, and Kieran Culkin is now people are all on Twitter just like he needs to be the next Bond. I don't think he will be, but I just think
I love
Yeah.
it.
And
I love it.
and side recommendation, you guys should see the Kieran Culkin Hot Wings episode. It's very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
But
that.
it is him. I don't see any
Yeah.
like character
Yeah, it
difference.
is.
It is him being him.
Yeah.
You see, like with everyone else, they've put on a character, they've put on an accent. This is just him being him.
He
Every
he
interview
auditioned
of
to
his.
be Greg initially. They wanted him to audition for cousin Greg.
Oh,
And then he read Roman. And then he read Roman and he's like, no, I want to be this. Like, what's up, motherfuckers?
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. And then they didn't want him to audition, but he auditioned. He recorded like tapes and sent them in anyway. And then he got the part.
motherfuckers,
Hey,
what
hey,
a
motherfuckers.
opening line.
Yeah.
It's actually him. Like, he is a bit of an asshole, I think, in real life also. Because I was watching Variety's Actor on Actor when he's talking to Daniel Levy for Schitt's Creek, and Dan Levy has done all his homework. He's seen Succession, and he's sitting there talking. And Kiran is like, "Yeah, I don't know your show. Like, I've not done any homework." I haven't watched it.
Well, I read a recent
That's
profile.
so
of him.
mean, man.
I read a recent profile of him and how it was, how difficult it was for him. Apparently, they're like 7 siblings or something growing up as
Oh.
Yeah.
Macaulay Culkin's brother with
On his
Macaulay
money,
Culkin.
on Macaulay's money.
Yeah, but he went through drug abuse, right? Like Macaulay Culkin had like this really bad, in that sense, traumatic childhood, and to live into that and what all they went through, and I mean, so the profile really did like show him in this beautiful light, and I think like one of the things that I've just taken back is the love that the actors, Sarah Snook and Kieran Culkin have for each other.
Yeah.
Just the way that they talk about each other in every
Yeah.
interview, in every
Yeah.
speech that they win, it's just so lovely and so beautiful to see, that there's real camaraderie made in on this show between the actors, that they genuinely found love for each other. And I feel like that's also a hallmark of a great show, that they're not like all intense people doing intense things. They're actually not serious people in real life, and I think that's a good.
Yeah.
Except Jeremy Strong. Everyone else except
Yeah.
Jeremy Strong. Everyone else is quite happy just playing the character. Not
The
being
fact that
intense.
Jeremy got Sarah Snook and Kieran Culkin to cut his hair at the last episode, at the end of the last episode. I think it proves that he can be played.
Everyone took a swing at
Yeah.
it. The whole
Yeah.
crew.
Yeah,
everyone
whole
took a
crew.
swing
Everyone
at it.
lined up. Everyone
Yeah.
lined up. They were like, "ये तो मतलब
He can
करना
take
ही
a
पड़ेगा."
joke. I think he's a I like him. I mean, I do.
I like
I like the reason I like him is because this whole sort of Brian Cox says that I worry for Jeremy and the method acting thing and all of that happened, okay? And then obviously people try to make controversy and they asked
Yeah,
Jeremy
yeah.
Strong what he thought about it. And I loved his response where he's like, "Look, man, he's Brian Cox. He's earned the right to say whatever the fuck he wants. All right? And I don't care. I'm just going to go out there and do it." I'm like, you know what? Fair enough. All good. Do your thing.
I like someone
Have your
recently
stupid
asked him in a-
process.
Everyone asked him. Someone recently asked him in an interview that there are the part of the internet calls you baby girl. What do you
Yeah,
say?
and he's fine
Yeah.
with it.
And
they
he's fine with it.
infantilize you. And he's like, everyone has a different way of taking these things. Who am I to judge? Like, I genuinely think he's a decent guy. He just like
Yeah.
has a method when he's acting. Let him be, dude.
Yeah.
He didn't
Or
get
he's
this
just an
fucking
intense
time.
guy who doesn't have
Yeah.
like I've met like perfectly decent people who don't have an ironic bone in their body and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
ठीक है.
I-
हो तुम serious.
These
Like,
method acting stories, he's fit that, the Daniel Day-Lewis of Abraham Lincoln where he was
Yeah.
in character, or Jared Leto sending dead rats to the people in their caravan during Joker. So you're like, just if I
During
would,
Joker, no, during
sorry,
Suicide Squad.
My bad, during Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But like
Huh?
just I'd be like, यार थोड़ा set पे थोड़ा intense हो जाता होगा ना, like with stuff like this. I would feel.
I feel like I don't know if you need to go method for Suicide Squad. Like I don't know if that's the thing. Like there are movies that you should go method for and that you shouldn't. But it is just my opinion that you don't necessarily like need to go.
And like you're an actor, right? Like you should be able to turn
Yeah.
it on and off.
Yeah.
Yes.
But a lot of people came out in support of him after that New Yorker piece. Like
That was
lot of
not a very nice piece.
That was a very
yeah,
big
and
one.
a lot of women, especially in his life, from Jessica Chastain to Anna Hathaway, they were all like, he's a fucking fantastic person. Like, fuck you, New Yorker. So somewhere, I think, like again, I think he's just a little misunderstood for his intensity when he's acting. I think outside of that, he's a genuinely like probably just a decent guy. You
Yeah.
know? And it's okay, man. Like he
But
didn't.
good he
win.
lost. Good he lost.
Let him win in real life.
Good only he lost, I to say. Good only. Good
No,
only
but
that they all lost.
this year, I am actually rooting for Kieran Culkin to win the Emmy as opposed to.
इस बार
Yeah.
I read this amazing comment कि सबको लग रहा है तो केरन कल्किन को मिलेगा एमी और या फिर जेरेमी स्ट्रॉन्ग को मिलेगा
Yeah.
but then Bob Odenkirk will come and win for Better Call Saul.
That would be poetic.
That would be the Succession ending.
That'd be great.
That would just
Fucking
be-
split the votes.
Yeah.
Oh man, good show. Let's just say.
Yeah,
Oh,
good,
really?
good stuff,
show.
good
और
stuff,
क्या बोले?
good
और
stuff,
क्या
good
बोले?
stuff.
मतलब
No,
it's-
good
it's-
stuff.
और क्या बोले भैंस की आंख 2 घंटे से बोल तो रहे बैठ के.
Yeah, that's what. Like, or
That
can
is
like
what I'm
that's
saying.
this
और
stage
क्या?
on our own
क्या
podcast.
बोल रहे
Sahil.
हो?
It's
Well-
our podcast, and I've started looking at the clock now.
Yeah,
It's
where I'm
wait.
like, we have spoken for 2 hours and we will still not run out. I'm like,
I'm just saying, I don't mean to be, but if you just do
No, but
2 hours of Binge-O-Clock and 2 hours of Succession, density of content difference. It is
I
explanation.
apologize for talking for 2 hours about
No,
it.
no, you have
not
not.
at
You
all.
have not.
Not
You
at
have
all.
not
All
at
of
all.
us-
Not
all of
at
us
all.
have.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not opposing to just general universe. Like,
No, don't.
I'm just saying,
Don't
like,
at all.
Succession-
Also, one sec, Sucharita, we have talked for 1 hour, and for 1 hour, Vaibhav has corrected us. Okay. So, there's a shared
Guys,
responsibility.
actually-
here, so, okay.
you are wrong. You are wrong.
Right,
You're all wrong.
When the writers were thinking about
And
this
this
scene,
is
in
not
their head.
polite now. कल सुबह एक group email आने वाला है. Hey guys, didn't want to say in front of chat, but
Yeah, like minutes of the stream. Everything.
Minutes of the stream.
and I just want to say they are not going to Orwell. I know this because you are all just wrong.
Kendall also names his son what? Iverson. What? Iverson.
Iverson.
No?
Yeah,
Iverson.
Iverson.
And Sophie.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see
They-
more of her.
There's this line, like a very random line in the Prague episode in season 1 by Connor, which I really like, where he says where someone is approaching pick up girls, and he says, ask them where they were on 9/11.
Oh, that's
If
so
they-
funny.
If they don't know, they might be under 18.
That's so funny and dark. I remember that line. I remember pausing the episode and just laughing for 5 minutes at just the horrificness of. Because if I'm not mistaken, that is also the same episode where Tom Wamsgans swallows his own load.
yes.
It is an episode of deprivation.
But you see, I was just thinking about that. You see how much Tom has changed from that
Yes.
to
Yes.
during the
Yes.
election thing. Because this Tom, who's on the fucking in the bullpen when the votes are being counted, will never do that.
No.
He's not that same Tom anymore who would
Yeah.
go to this party and like
No.
do these depraved things. He's completely changed as a person. Like
I
he's
think
been set up
like
to
Hot
take
confident Tom.
Logan's head, Logan's death actually hit him the hardest. I feel like he's probably one of the. He was there. That's what
He was holding
in the
his
party-
hand.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
died.
Like at the party when he says, like, I mean,
He's like,
saw
I
him-
actually got to say goodbye.
yeah, but he saw him die, and somewhere he probably even took that as responsibility.
Yeah.
Then now it's
Even
on.
in the previous season,
Yeah.
he's the one who screws
Yes.
them over in the
Yeah.
last season because he's like this. The Siobhan's gonna leave me any day, so I have to do this. And then they say,
I
"What?
love-
We walked in on dad fucking us."
I love
Yeah.
that at the beginning.
Dad
of-
and mom fucking.
Dad and mom fucking.
Yeah.
Dad and mom fucking.
Yeah.
I love how in the beginning of the season he just sits with Logan Roy and has this really awkward conversation where he's just
Yeah.
like, "So now that I'm divorcing you, what does that mean for us?
Yeah.
Do you still like me if I'm not your son-in-law?
And Logan is like, if we're good, we're good.
yeah, if you're good, we're good."
Which is just the most Logan sentence.
What a
that-
beautiful
I
dialogue.
mean, Jerry is Siobhan's godmother, and
Yeah.
Logan's like firing her from the company for no good reason. And imagine the moment where he must have picked Jerry to be his daughter's godmother. Like, what is going through Logan's head in that point? Is he actually feeling emotional towards Jerry, or is Jerry the first woman he's seen in the room in front of him? Saying,
Probably the first woman he has a positive relationship with, right? Like in the
Yeah.
sense that it's not like a it's not a sexual relationship. It's not this thing. It's somebody who makes him money. It's somebody who probably
He
sees
must
as-
have tried to have sex with her at some point.
100%. 100%.
He would have
100%.
like, no, not
100%. 100%.
They've actually referred to it, so even like again in the
No.
camera, I think the camera work when they were talking about, like, I forget what exactly it was, but in the camera work somebody was speaking about who all he must have slept with in the I saw so basically when the three women are coming together in that scene, the funeral scene, at the back of that when they're talking, all of us women who have been with Logan should kind of be together. In the back of that scene, just behind them in the shadow is
Jerry.
Jerry and another woman who actually happens to be Brian Cox's real life wife.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh
yes,
my
yes,
God.
yes.
So that they're
Yes,
clearly saying that
yes.
Jerry has slept with him, but Jerry is
Yeah.
also so good at her job that
Yeah.
she rose to the top of the ranks anyway.
Yeah.
My God.
Wow.
This is
How fun.
guys, I am serious. I've never ever got that deep in, like there are shows I've gotten really deep into, but not this deep into. And listening to y'all, but more importantly, Weber, though I'm not counting right now because that is on a different.
Sahil,
level
right now,
altogether.
I've missed title.
But
Have
y'all,
I seen
I'm just
Succession?
like-
Have I seen Succession?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the show. Like
Wait till you start noticing Kendall Roy's relationship to water over the course of 4
Oh.
seasons.
Of course.
That'll really break you. Every glass,
It's
every
all
drop.
Twitter can talk about.
It's just
Yeah.
too good. Too
Yeah.
good. Just too
Okay.
good.
What else, boys? What else do we have left to discuss? Cousin Greg, your channel, you decide.
No, nothing. It's open to y'all.
You-
Like, okay, I need to go back
Yeah.
and watch.
No,
I
you know
need
what
to go
Which
happened?
is
right
your
away with
favorite
you.
episode? Which is your favorite episode of all 4 seasons? One episode if you have to pick.
Finale, for
I
sure.
would say
Finale.
the third episode, third season finale.
Okay. Okay,
Fourth.
Rohan.
Oh no,
Okay.
wait. Is the is the painting scene in the second last episode of the finale, right? Of the third season.
The
sorry,
painting
second
scene. Which
Painting
painting
scene?
scene?
Painting in the sense when it looked like a painting. The
Hand one. No,
Renaissance
I think that
painting.
was.
The hand one.
I think that
I
was
think it was
season.
second
Yeah, I think
Second
it was
was the
season
Second last
3,
episode,
but-
I think.
second last season 3. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a tough one. But it's a toss-up between the season 3 finale. Just because of how much happens in that one finale again, and possibly Connor's wedding.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Possibly Connor's wedding. Yeah.
For me, it's a tie between Connor's wedding and season 2, episode 10. This is not for tears.
Hmm.
And
The fucking
Jesse Armstrong also says it's the best thing he has ever written. Like he's trying to match that episode and all the things he's ever writing. The season 2, episode 10. Yeah.
Also, the one where Logan, so I'm saying Logan, Kendall misses the meeting because he's stuck in traffic.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
one of-
Season 1,
Season 1,
episode
episode
6.
6.
As a
Yeah.
Bombay,
Yes, season one,
Bombay
episode
as anyone who lives in India, you're like,
Yeah.
The show began
The
there.
parallels
Yeah.
between
Did
that episode and
you
the
leave?
show finale.
Yeah.
Like there are so many parallels.
Yeah.
Till that episode, I was like, I don't know what I'm watching. What is this?
Yeah.
Is this a comedy?
Yeah.
Is it a drama?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is the tone? What is the show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that scene,
Yeah.
I was like,
Which
okay,
side are you? Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. Love. Okay.
So
All right.
I have a
Alright.
quick thing before, like, I think we've discussed this for 2
Yes,
hours,
Sahil right
and
now
it's very
thinking
evident.
you're all very serious people.
No. So you know what happened when we did the last Succession discussion? We were like chit chatting and we were reaching and we were like, "Okay, ho gaya." Okay. This Succession discussion, we have uncovered deep secrets about ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? It's not about the character. Like we found out Webber's backstory in one line. You know, throwaway moments. We've understood Sucharita. I've understood Nikhil. I know you guys now. But I honestly
And
feel,
we've not understood you because your expression the whole stream has been
yeah.
Yeah, just like what?
Tom and Jerry?
Ah, this you mean to say his wife was
no
an
insight into
extra?
Sahil.
An
he's
extra?
become Kendall.
Yeah, I've become, especially when I stuttered right up top. No, I was like,
Wait. Yeah.
So yeah, I think we've discussed everything about Succession.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any final thoughts about the show or anything that you want to tell people?
Final thoughts.
Dekh
This
lo.
was our final thoughts.
Yes.
2 hours of final thoughts.
2 hours of final thoughts have happened right now. Like, what is left to say?
I'm done.
Yeah, I'm
any-
thoughtless.
Fine, shout any important shout outs. Nikhil, Weber,
I'll just say
Sucharita.
greatest TV show of since Breaking Bad. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I am very thankful that we live in an era where we get to watch this kind of storytelling unfold in real time, and not
Yeah.
just unfold in real time, but we get to learn about how this kind of show is made from the people who are making these shows. Within like 30 minutes of the show being on air, we get to learn about how it is done. It is the golden standard in storytelling, acting, craft work, and nothing. It's like now my standard for measuring pretty much everything.
Yeah, like
Nice.
if I may add one thing, like it's like in many ways The Wire, where The Wire at the time
Which is dropped on Geo Cinema today. Just
yeah, which
plugging that
at
in.
the
Nice.
time it
Such a-
released,
nice.
even for that matter, Breaking Bad, right? At the time it released, they were not seen as the most popular or massy shows, or
Yeah.
probably go on to become great or whatever it is. And in
Mad
the
Men.
time, when Mad Men was still like reasonably popular at that time because AMC, had picked up by then. But these shows weren't at that time. They were like some of the first shows ever made of that kind. And then when you look back now, they're the greatest shows. And I feel like that's what Succession is going to be like 20 years down the line when you look back.
And we'll be able to tell people that we were there. It
Yeah,
happened. We
Yeah.
waited every
and
week to watch
We
this
waited
show.
every week.
what was it that stood out that kind of talks up that also is a really nice snapshot of the time we live in, right? Like
Correct,
literally.
for posterity. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
absolutely. I think that's the most
For
important thing
sure.
about it, right? Like, while it's great, like classic literature in a way,
It's
it's
all
a
real
great
people.
snapshot of this particular zeitgeist, late stage capitalism,
Capitalism,
American exceptionalism,
24/7
generational wealth,
news cycles.
all of it intersecting in like the worst sort of way possible to create
Yeah.
a deeply uncomfortable moment sort of for humanity and for people personally in their lives when wealth and disparity sort of comes in there. So yeah.
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 वैभव कुछ बोल दे, रो मत देना लेकिन.
Yeah. nahi. So yeah, so I really like ki how we had to wait every week for like watching the episode, and I believe ki meri analogy hai ki these episodes jahan pe season by season we watch things, they are like long term relationships, right? So jo bhi aap shows dekhte ho, so many times I watch a pilot episode and I don't ever watch the show again. I've done it for many shows. It's like the first date, फिर आपने आगे नहीं देखा. But there are some shows जिनके साथ आप long term relationship में जाते हो, and like you invest those like 100 hours into it, 50 hours into it, and this was one of those shows. And I ideally like to always have a HBO show going on in my life. I've tried to have that on since 2018. I think it keeps me sane कि जैसे कोई खत्म होने वाला हो दूसरा एक HBO शो चालू कर दो जिससे कभी void नहीं आए. But right now I think void आ गया है, and I really need
Idol नहीं बोल रहा,
I need
idol.
something impactful in my life so that
I get
like
what
there's a
you're saying.
candle.
Have you seen Barry? Have you seen Barry?
Yeah, I've seen Barry.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I've seen
The
Barry.
Bear is coming in 2 weeks. That's
Oh yes, the bear is coming,
Just-
but I need yeah, वो भी लेकिन छोटे episodes है. Those are 25 minutes. I need that
I know what
40
you
50
mean. I know what
minute
you mean.
the which I can get into a relationship with. So yeah, अभी वो void है.
You know, one of the things that like all the thing that came to me as an analogy was like Roman, I thought I had pre-grieved, and then, because I knew it was ending, and then I was literally exactly like Roman when it ended because I was just broken. I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, I clearly
Yeah.
hadn't pre-grieved.
Yeah, as someone wrote in the comments, I need something super fucking absorbing in my life right now.
Like, can I take the contrarian view and be like, I'm so glad it's over?
Yeah, why is that?
Oh, why?
I'm so because it went. It's like they used to say about cricket captains in this country, like retire when people are asking why,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
not
it was
when
at
they're
its
asking
peak.
why
Leave
not.
at
There
peak.
wasn't-
Leave at peak.
Leave at
Yeah.
peak.
There
You're
was
on
not
top.
one moment. Like for example, it didn't even get to that season 5 point of where you're like, "Ooh, have we
They've
taken
now-
it even 2
yeah.
episodes too far or this thing?" It was literally all killer, no filler, all bangers all the time.
All
Before
that
you know
was
what's
going on.
happened, they've gotten
They-
into a helicopter, fucked off, heist is over. Like, and I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of that. And I love
Yeah.
that they've left us with this near perfect, tense piece of content from where I feel like we're still going to be pulling new dynamics and
Yeah.
threads and relationships out over a
Yeah.
long time. So,
Yeah.
yeah, actually, very, very happy that it's just sort of, and
Nice.
to its credit, all right, considering that we have now sort of reached this era of and in a way, then you mentioned HBO to just sort of sum up what HBO sort of means as a network and as this thing, right? The streaming era has come and there has been sort of this consolidation and movement in it, and we've now reached this point where like sometimes Amazon and Netflix are like, हाँ अब 3 साल बाद आएगा season 2 और अब उसके बाद
Right.
4 साल बाद आएगा season
Right.
3 and this that. These guys have hit a season a year for
Yes.
like every single year of high quality. They have been one of the only shows that still shoots on film. That
Yes.
still shoots on film and not on this thing, and they've achieved like something spectacularly unique. And it just
Yeah.
goes to show that HBO is just one of those long-term pillars of the game, right? Like
True.
Hazar,
true.
Stranger Things आए, Stranger Things गए, House of Cards आया, House of Cards, but HBO just has this
Bang on.
guiding star of like somehow finding great content and
Yes.
just doing great things and too good.
और अगर आप देखो सक्सेशन से पहले दे हैड लास्ट ऑफ अस, उससे पहले व्हाइट लोटस, लाइक इनका एक
Always
तो-
something.
All
Always
Yeah,
something,
bangers,
man.
all the time. I think
All
that is
the time.
that is like
I mean,
this. Just
you
what a
can
great
trace these
reference.
guys, yeah. Like even before The Wire, right? You can trace these guys all the way back
Yeah.
to like Oz and 6 Feet Under and
Yeah.
Sopranos and
Yeah.
HBO, man.
The Twitter really did go off the hook.
Yeah, it did. Like you full on. Like this is like HBO really like well done. Well done.
Yeah, good
Even
stuff.
this year started with Last of Us, which is again amazing, man.
Yeah.
Fuck, what a legendary.
Yeah.
Let's Why am I was not. Okay. So, last thing, before we go, we'll do a quick rapid fire. Just drop your show reco. What are you watching right now, and what can people do if they are trying to fill the Succession void, right? Just quick one show that you're
watching. I'll quickly say I'm watching this Apple Plus show called Platonic, which has been like such a nice palate cleanser. It's got Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne, and it is actually really well done, really wholesome, really funny. I've loved watching it week on week.
Perfect. Weber?
Yeah. मैंने ये show like very late to the party by a year, but like I saw Sucharita's like story yesterday, and I watched this show. बहुत time से pending था गाली मत देना तब्बर, and I think it's a great
It's a
fucking
good
show. And I watched it in one sitting yesterday, 6 hours.
It's
and
epic.
It's too good.
It's very good, and I would highly recommend it to
It's
everyone.
I would
Succession
also-
speedrun. Succession speedrun.
Also recommend, if you want to watch the range of the director Ajit Pal Singh, if you want to really
Yeah.
appreciate the talent that he is, the storyteller he is, because in our country we don't celebrate an independent storyteller as
Yeah.
well. Tabbar, nobody knows. It came and went on Sony Live. There's no
Yeah.
conversation around it. His film just dropped on Sony Live that premiered at Sundance 2 years ago. Fire in the Mountains.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a soft, tender, very like small town movie that plays out in a hill station in Uttarakhand, versus what Tabbar is, like a crime show
Oh,
about.
wow.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Fire in the Mountains. If you get the chance to watch it, Ajit Pal Singh, his name is, and he's just
Yeah.
my God.
Also, we need to give credit to the creator of Tabbar, that is Harman Wadala, who is the
Yes,
writer and
the
creator.
writer.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I'm not watching any series right now, frankly speaking. I'm going through some personal shit in my life, so I'm rewatching Schitt's Creek, which gives me a lot of peace and a lot of joy.
Nice.
But I am looking forward to. There's a bunch of big films coming this week. There's Barbenheimer, and Top Gun, Mission Impossible, Top Gun, one of those Tom Cruise
Mission
movies.
Impossible, and then
Mission
Flash.
Impossible.
Quite a good
So
time.
looking forward to watching Gerwig and Nolan and all of that shit.
What quite a banging summer for Hollywood, no?
Yeah,
I mean,
July
like,
is
not
very,
just
very
a-
good month.
And just
Indiana
considering, like,
Jones.
not just like a Marvel-dominated summer, like
Just
just after a long time,
very
like what
good
looks like a banner
July is going to be
diverse
major,
sort of-
major.
Hollywood
Yeah.
summer, like a full-on.
Yeah.
And
I
like
have a-
two big, sorry, Weber.
Yeah.
Two big multi-starrers releasing on 21st of July.
Yeah,
Like it's going to
yeah.
take me a whole
Yeah.
week to come to understand what I have watched.
In
Like
fact-
all the actors are there.
In
Yeah.
fact, I've heard that now the new this thing is that now Tom Cruise is stressed.
Tom Cruise
because
also
there
has
are
to
no
come.
there are no IMAX screens.
Yeah.
Because there are no IMAX screens because of Oppenheimer and his movies come out
That's
also on
too
IMAX
sad.
screen.
He was anyways
And, yeah.
angry. He was anyways angry with the entire
Yeah.
Barbie stuff nonsense. So
Right.
it's
That's
totally
just-
fine, Tommy.
well.
Rohan,
Yeah,
reco-
I was just quickly want to add something. Sorry, it's not a show recommendation, because I
What about
also
Nikhil
like.
left?
Oh, I'm really sorry,
No,
but
kidding.
like
Bol de, bol de.
I have to give. Yeah, so
It's
पिछले
turned into a pumpkin. It's midnight.
yeah, so
done.
in last 5-6 years,
1%.
लास्ट 5-6 साल में मैंने सिर्फ 2 चीजें देखी हैं जिनको देख के मेरे को लगा कि मैंने आज तक ऐसा नहीं देखा. पहली चीज मैंने 2017 में देखी थी, which was Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, and I was
Yes.
like, I've never seen anything like this. Second time मेरे को ये feel हुआ 3 दिन पहले when I watched Across the Spider-Verse, and I was like, I've never seen anything like this. That's
Yeah,
it.
we just-
That's it.
I
That's
have
it.
literally messaged.
But that's a separate stream, so
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
that's a
Rohan, I
Let's
am
not start. Please, let's not
Rohan, I'm
start.
loving your stories about like
He's-
the.
Yeah,
Nikhil, look what I got, Nikhil. Look
I
what I got for
literally
you.
messaged Rohan to say,
Look what
"Can
I got for
please
you, Nikhil.
have the collectible
Look what I
ticket?"
got for you.
Oh man.
Got it sitting right here for you.
God bless you, Rohan.
Rohan,
But yeah.
Reco. Rohan,
Okay,
Reco.
since you already said Across the Spider-Verse, Reco right now, 100%, if you can, please play Jedi Survivor. It is an outstanding game. Some of the best Star Wars media to have happened in a long, long time. And absolutely really enjoying Silo on Apple TV.
Yeah, same here. Really.
It's like if you
It's
like
in
a
my
Lost
list,
style proper mystery box show, and also I've done that thing
Fallout,
where
you know.
I enjoyed the first 3 episodes so much that I just downloaded the books and I read them.
Ah.
And can I just say, the books, the trilogy is amazing. It's by a guy called Hugh Howey.
Okay.
The first book is called Wool. The second book is called Shift, and the third book is called Dust. And I'm almost done with the second book, and so far, really banging, fast-paced, tight, like plot twist
Nice.
after plot twist, consistent writing, and I'm really enjoying it. So if you guys want also just
Yeah.
fast-paced sci-fi,
I've been-
Silo,
I've been-
either the show or the book.
I need to get
When-
back
when-
into my reading spree, so this is a good start. I'll give you my reco, and this is complete antithesis to everything that you have given. It's a show on Netflix called I Think You Should Leave. It contains absurd sketches.
Tim Robinson, yes.
Absurd sketches by Tim Robinson, who was a former SNL writer and now makes sketches. I Think You Should
Yeah.
Leave. The season 3 of I Think You Should Leave is one of the funniest and most bizarre sketch shows that I've seen, and it just blows my mind that people have come up with that. You know, like with Succession, we spent 2 hours doing this. I have spent 2
Yeah.
hours going down. I Think You Should Leave fun facts. You know, like who
Nice,
did this,
nice.
who did that. I want to know more because it is so insanely stupid, and I would just
Nice.
say the perfect palate cleanser between all the serious stuff is nonsense like this. Watch, enjoy.
And to just add to what Webber said, also the Across the Universe background score.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just please.
Pemberton.
Daniel
Is a
Pemberton, you
fucking
genius. It is great music to run to. And
Genius.
yesterday I also had the pleasure of a friend who had not seen Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh.
So I was like, bhai sahab, tu
yeah,
baith ja.
that was your
Aur
story.
dekha.
Yeah.
Baith ja, mere dost. And for 2 hours, I just watched his jaw slowly drop. And yeah, I have restarted playing the Spider-Man game as a result of
Yeah.
When I got
Ding.
I got dengue once, and then I got COVID once, and then both times when I was like really sick, the thing that I played first was Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the
It was, like,
Spider-Verse.
just
Bro, what a-
immediately going to give me joy.
And Across is
Okay.
though just beautiful. Again, like we
Yeah.
said, we'll save it for a different stream because that is a long conversation. Because it's just there's so much to unpack over there. Also, that is a different level altogether. Any
Sahil,
announcements?
last question.
Vaibhav,
Last question.
no!
before-
You are removed of the video call.
मैंने
No
मैंने
no
आप-
question, no question.
yeah.
No
One
questions,
question.
yeah.
One
Wait,
question.
No question.
I just want to say,
No question.
Vaibhav is the opposite
That-
of those people. One second. I just want to say, Vaibhav is the opposite of those people in cinema halls who, after a screening, say, "I don't have a question, I have a comment." He's the opposite. He's like, "I don't have a comment, I have a question." I love it.
I am a curious person. So yeah,
You know,
yeah.
in every class there was that one guy when the thing is ending and
I'm
like,
about
"Ma'am,
to stop being curious and
Yeah.
start being judgmental in a minute.
Ma'am,
It's
supplement,
okay. It's okay. It's okay.
ma'am, supplement, and you're like, just write your paper, no.
क्या आप लोगों को नींद आ रही है क्या मतलब
You did. You made Sucharita put her headphones back on. Look what you did. Look what
Okay.
you did.
Go write a movie review anyway. Yes, please.
ठीक है।
quickly.
सो मैंने टेड लासो का सीजन 1 देखा था एंड आई लव्ड इट। उसके बाद सब अलग चीज बोलते हैं, देखो मत देखो। सो इन अ यस और नो, शुड आई इन्वेस्ट एनर्जी इन वाचिंग सीजन 2 and 3 of टेड लासो, a yes or a no?
Yes.
Season 2, yes. Season 3, I can't comment. No, haven't watched.
Okay, Sahil is saying no.
That's my
I said
answer.
yes.
Okay.
I'd love to hear what Rohan said.
I
Rohan?
completely lost you all for a second. What did I
Rohan,
miss?
I am asking.
What?
I just watched season 1 of Ted
You're
Lasso. I
making
enjoyed
him
it.
repeat, yeah.
But
Sorry.
should I watch season 2 and season 3 of Ted Lasso?
No.
Cool.
Season 2
Not
and-
watching.
No.
I'll still lean towards yes.
And
Okay.
that is it. We are done with the stream. This is literally, this is not even questions, nothing. Announcements. Sucharita, Nikhil, Vaibhav, that order. Please give your announcements. Then Rohan and I will give our final shout outs. Sucharita, announcements.
Good night.
Very good. Follow and
yeah.
subscribe Sucharita.
Yes,
the
subscribe
channel.
to my channel.
You know, she's so late, she's not even doing the like, share, subscribe. She's like, my only announcement is that it is night time and this
Subscribe.
is when civilized people
Go
sleep.
to fucking bed. Subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram. I do a
Too
lot of
funny.
movie recommendations and I do like quick things and long form things. So just subscribe, please. Thanks. The fuck off.
Okay, I run a company called Yuva, and where we have literally just had our own Succession, which went very much opposite the Succession on Succession. We had a new CEO who I gave, by the way, as like a handover, a T-shirt that read "Not Tom Wamsgans." So that
Nice,
was literally my
nice,
gift to
very
him
nice.
as a farewell gift.
Very nice.
So yeah, go. We are Yuva on all social media platforms.
Done. Vaibhav?
Lovely. Follow Chalchitra Talks on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Yeah.
Perfect. Rohan?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Verse dekh lo. That's what he's
Spider-Man,
saying.
yeah, I agree. Same. Just like, share, subscribe. We'll be back with another episode of Binge-O-Clock. Everybody who saw, thank you so much. If you agreed, disagreed with any of our theories or any of our opinions, leave it in the comment section and tell us what you thought about the episode. Till next time, thank you so much, Vaibhav, Nikhil, Sucharita, and Spider-Man. Thank you so much for being part of this stream. Thank you so much for spending 2 hours going down the Succession
Yeah,
rabbit
what
hole.
the fuck? At least buy
Also,
me
Rohan-
pizza or something, man.
Done. I will
Done.
send.
Tell me
Done.
where you
Done.
got this from, because I want to buy it now. So
Okay, cool.
All right.
We'll
bye.
save gossip for post stream. Okay, done. Bye, guys. See you. And
bye.
everybody
Bye,
who
guys.
saw and
Bye.
super chatted, thank you so much. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, Devesh. Bye.
Bye.